Salute everyone. The streets are buzzing. Hope everyone's well. How we doing? Tonight, Saturday night, the feeling is right. Watch some NBA playoffs, and now we're ready to chop up the draft. And we're going to talk about the NBA draft prospects. I got my big board 1.0 to talk about, and I've identified some tiers and targets in this draft, and we're going to chop this thing up like we do. This is the chat show. We shout you out. We keep it 100, healthy Knicks talk. And I salute to the chat. Everyone up in here strong. That's a tap. Yep, absolutely. We're due for it. Facts, right? Prometheus, salute. Dirty Dancer, what's good? Hey, I'll take not dropping as well. Fam, we're due. We're due. And let's hope the luck smiles on us this year. Lily, always up in here. Salute. P, nice. Let's get it. And Jarvis, what's good? Salute. Fam, Sherwin, good evening. Good evening, Mike. What's good? I know everyone's excited. This is one of my favorite times of the year, to be honest with you. We're about to hit up the draft lottery in just a matter of weeks. Everyone becomes an expert this time of year. So I thought, let's chop up the prospects, and we won't do a complete deep dive into each prospect. But as we get closer to the draft, and after the draft lottery, I'll do another big board 2.0, and I'll do a deeper dive into each prospect, and also sleeper prospects, strengths, weaknesses, etc. But tonight I'm going to reveal my big board 1.0, and also some teams that are great trade partners for the New York Knicks. And we get things kicked off with the good, the bad, the ugly. And like we did, we chopped up last night. We sold some veterans off, and now we're fully focused on the draft and improving this the talent on this young team. And with the good, the flexibility, like we know, we're a young team. We have some talent, but the ceiling of this talent is anyone's guess right now. And we need to give these young players an opportunity, to continue to grow in this league. The young core teams are flaming out. Memphis took an L tonight, but we'll chop up the playoffs a lot more. But as we know, as each team flames out in the playoffs, they're back to square one, and they're thinking about how can we get better. They're looking to the draft. They're looking to trade. And that suits the New York Knicks because we have a lot of pieces. The lottery coming up, like we said, we're going to chop this up tonight. That's what it's all about. And we'll talk about Shaedon Sharpe. Some news today. Some bad. Tyus Jones buzz as well. New York Post own Mark Berman put out a story that the New York Knicks have interest in Tyus Jones. No one knows quite yet how strong that interest might be. But we all know Tom Thibodeau, has connections to Tyus Jones, used to coach him as well. So we'll talk about that tonight. Give us your thoughts on Tyus Jones. He set a record in NBA history for assist to turnover ratio as well. It's been steady hand as a backup in Memphis as well. Could he be ready to take on a starting gig? For me, not really. For me, I'd rather rock with Quickly. It depends on the contract. But right now I'm good with Tyus Jones, but he's earning himself a nice contract. He's got something like 7 assists to 1 turnover ratio, which is crazy. The young man's balling out. Trading the farm as well. I don't want to trade, gut this roster as well for any win now moves as well, because I think we're too far away from that. The front office got to get on the same page. There's a lot of people with certain agendas here to do certain things. Worldwide West is here to be a star whisperer and bring in an established player as well, and that might derail some of these moves we're about to do. The uncertainty as well, and Jalen Brunson's price tag continues to go up, and who knows what happens with Mitchell Robinson as well. As we get closer to free agency, the New York Knicks might have an inkling heading into draft night as well. Do we look at a center? We'll chop that up tonight with all the center prospects. And the ugly, like I said, there's too many chefs in the kitchen at times. We know on draft night, everyone wants a certain prospect as well. It's up to Leon Rose to pull the strings. Who's leading the draft? Is it Walt Perrin? Is it Leon? Is it Brock Aller? Is it Worldwide West? Bangs his hand on the table again as well. Could we pick another prospect? That's another logjam situation as well. And trading the pick is ugly. For me, I want to keep this pick. Right, drafting another young player on this timeline would suit and would fit the timeline nicely with the young talent that we currently have on this roster as well. So let's get into it. Yeah, appreciate you, Jarvis. Yep, we're going to be talking about it all tonight as well. Kick back and relax. I'm glad everyone's joining. And Sherwin, the Knicks need a point and a small forward. The players in this draft don't fit the Knicks' needs. That's what Sherwin's thoughts are as well. Yeah, we'll talk about it. And Lily, yeah, yikes, right? Tyus Jones. It's interesting, the Knicks' standards have sort of dropped quite significantly. I don't mind being realistic, but I'm good with what we currently have. Is Tyus Jones a huge upgrade? I don't think so. And but yeah, Dirty Dancer on the money is super efficient, well worth the mid-level as a backup. Yep. You could serve his role. Facts. And salute Bricks Nation. What's good, fam? What's good? And Lily says he doesn't get dribble penetration and he's an undersized guard. Yeah, I saw him get lit up tonight. Two facts. Did you guys watch the game tonight between Golden State as well? Jordan Poole took Tyus Jones to the rack and yammed it on him as well. So, small sample size, but I haven't watched a whole heap of Tyus Jones, ladies and gents. So you give us your thoughts. JJ, how would you choose going for the best available versus need? Great question, JJ. We'll chop all that up as I pull up my big board shortly. But for me, it's all about best available. I feel we're just too raw at the moment to just be picking on need as well. We need talent up in here, as Jay from Florida knows all about it as well. Getting into the top 4 is where it's at. Generational talent is what we need, right? The superstar of the future for the New York Knicks, and there's plenty potential of those players in the top 4, 5 as well. I'm glad Shaden Sharp has declared as well, which has made the draft a bit deeper as well. And El Tigrasso, salute. I would not be opposed to trading the pick as well. Yep, I've got some trade partners as well. And Lily Cop tonight. The game Tyus was very discouraging. Yeah, tough environment. Down in the in the Bay Area. Hostile crowd and all of that. But you know what? It's good. It's a good learning experience and good opportunity to watch these players in the playoffs between Jalen Brunson, Tyus Jones, and all of that. We get to see the dudes play at the highest level before you offer someone the money, right? You never want to pay someone the money until you've seen them play at this kind of level before. So it's a great opportunity to see who flames out. And teams are full of talent in this playoff picture, and the team in New York Knicks need that talent. Right. And that's why I said the ugly would be to trade this pick. Right. I want to keep this pick. I don't see no veteran out there that's going to come in here and make this team a contender straight away in terms of a veteran. That's realistic. So we need to draft and we need to establish this young core and just continue to go down this path. Don't derail. And El Tigrasso says will not be opposed to trading the pick if the Knicks get in the top 3 and OKC offers Josh Giddey or SGA. I would strongly consider. Great point. That is something you have to consider. I agree because they are young enough. They're young players still that would fit with our young core of the New York Knicks. So you've got to consider that, ladies and gentlemen. And just before we pull up the big board and talk about it more, I want you guys to tell me who in this draft is really catching your eye. Is it a sleeper? Is it a guy around where we're selecting that you hope we stay pat? Is it someone in the top 4 that you say we need that guy? We have to get him, right? He's a New York Knick. He's got the New York Knicks written all over him as well. There's a lot of maneuvering we could do, and I've divided the first round into 3 tiers. Basically, the lottery tier, if the Knicks get lucky in a couple of weeks' time, and where we stay pat, some tier there where some prospects that can help out. I feel if we pick around the 11 to a small trade up, maybe to 6 or 5, and then I've got a third tier of trade down proposals for everyone, because we all know the New York Knicks are going to do their diligence. They're going to investigate. They're going to work out players. They got Walt Perrin, heavily up in here, doing some stuff. We don't know if he's the one truly leading the draft or not as well. But the New York Knicks have beefed up their scouting department, and they've been better at drafting, been better in years past. They've definitely whiffed on some dudes, which I hope doesn't happen anymore. But yeah, they've definitely whiffed in the past, and I hope that their drafting scouts are really on the money this time. Last year, we heard we wanted to trade up for Trey Mann. We wanted to trade up for Chris Duarte, Trey Murphy as well. So that gives me a lot of confidence. These guys have been able to identify talent better than years regimes in the past. And DJ Cash, what's good? Salute, my friend. The reset of our chessboard begins at the point of attack. We already have our point guards, Quickly, Rose, McBride. Any draft picks or free agents have to fit our mold. So that's DJ Cash, facts. Salute for that. 19 on the money. Malachi Branham and Wendell Moore at 20 and 25 if we trade our 11 to the Spurs. A salute 19 man. I think we chopped this up briefly, but yeah, you're of the similar mindset to some of the scenarios that I've got, fam. With that said, when you talk about trying to trade down, we ain't trying to just lose out. We're trying to maximize value. And this draft, to me, has value. It has a lot of parity from 11 down to 30 as well. It's in the eye of the beholder. And the draft scouting department of the New York Knicks have a real opportunity to find some solid players up in here and salute this and compliment this young core we have. And Dirty Dancer likes Benny Mathurin if he drops Tari Eason or Branham as well. Yep. I like all of those three as well. Yep. Salute. Facts. What's good, D? Cool. Showing like Shade and Sharp, Adrian, AJG, Adrian Griffin Jr., Benedict Mathurin, Usman Jiang are the best small forwards and shooting guards in the draft. Frank Matos up in here. Salute. What's good? Appreciate everyone up in here. D Vibes, what's good? I can't wait to see the prospects Knicks bring in for workouts. That will give us a clear idea of their thought process. Absolutely. D Vibes, me too. Although I think the Knicks have learned, just on that note, I think the Knicks have learned a lot not to reveal too much. I think the New York Knicks are onto some stuff. They've got Kentucky connections and stuff like that. They don't want the whole league, catching wind of what they're doing. So look for the Knicks to have learnt in the past and do things in the back channels. The whole world knew that we were trying to move up for Chris Duarte. That didn't help us one bit. That did not help us at all. We wanted Trey Murphy. The whole world knew that. Trey Mann. And what did OKC do? They picked them right before us. And so that, the New York Knicks, I hope they keep things in-house, to your point. Jay from Florida, what's good? Trey Murphy has been great. Would have loved to hear who is on the board. Johnny Davis, Benedict, Duran, Eason looks good in workouts. And Sharp is my dream man. Yep, absolutely, fam. Johnny Davis, quality prospect. Ben Mathurin, quality wing. Jalen Duran, a very, very talented, raw, long center that could play make as well. A playmaking center sounds really good to me, Jay. Tari Eason as well. I like his looks for his fit between the 3-4 spot, backing up Obi as well. If we trade Julius, of course, and Shaden Sharp, you guys might be surprised how high I have him on my board as well. I've surprised a few people as well. And Sherwin, the draft is loaded with role players. Yep, a lot of role players. Facts, right? There'll be a lot of second-round picks being wheeling and dealing, I feel like. And Duran would be nice. I think that we'll get someone talented at 11 if that's where we end up. Yeah, facts, right? Jay Boogie, the closer, up in here. Shout out to everyone. Health and safety to you all. Blessings. And to all the mothers. Yep, salute to you and your mothers and your family out there. Have a blessed one. And Elle says, if the Knicks get to the top 4 and Houston offers KPJ, Josh Christopher, or Alfred Sengun, they should consider as well. Yeah, I like those scenarios. Keep throwing them out there. Keep throwing these out there, right? We're getting our brains thinking right now. How can we maximize value? Yeah, this draft may not have all the superstars, in terms of a deep pool of superstar potential, but it has a lot of talent in terms of contributors and role players on this team, right? I think the Knicks could even take on some extra picks as well. We'll chop up a bit more of the Tyus Jones news, and I want to talk about Rokas Jokibitis as well. Just a quick update: Rokas is still balling out, and they clinched the top seed in the playoffs in the ACB, and he scored 8 points and 8 assists in 17 minutes overnight. So Rokas could be coming over. Summer League we talked about last night. Maybe he's getting solid reps, and maybe the Knicks like his development and want to bring him over. I can't wait to see what happens with that. And D Cool, salute. I say take the best player available. Don't trade down. Yep. I could feel that as well. Yep. Jeremy Sokin grew a few inches. He's 6'10", 230. Yep. Plays the 3 and the 4. Yep. There was some rumors that the Knicks like him too. Yep. Facts. I like all these. Keep spitting knowledge. Who's been keeping taps on the international prospects as well? Yep. Good question. D Vibes. And Will up in here. Salute, fam. Salute. Yep. We got the chat popping. So with that said, let me pull up the graphic right now. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take off this logo so it ain't in the way. So I'll just clarify first and foremost, this is my draft big board 1.0 as well, with team needs not considered yet. I don't have the time yet to break this down and go through every single team's needs, at this point in time. So this is just a big board in terms of where I've ranked the prospects. So that's first and foremost. And then you'll see 3 colors as well. I've broken things down into 3 tiers. Red, obviously we're flaming out. We've hit the jackpot. We're in the lottery. Let's celebrate and have a drink. The New York Knicks have their chance at Paolo Banchero, Jabari Smith, Shaedon Sharpe, Chet Holmgren, and potentially Jaden Ivey, of course, if the New York Knicks can luck out in a couple of weeks' time. So that's my seeding so far as well. Obviously, it could fluctuate. This is just my 1.0. But yeah, I feel like with Shaedon Sharpe available, I think the intrigue is going to start working out as well. And I think some team is going to fall in love with him as well. So there we have it, red. So the second tier in the orange is a stay pat versus a trade up, potential trade up or a stay pat. And they're the kind of prospects I've got. We've got Jaden Ivey, 5, Keegan Murray at 6, Benny Mathurin at 7, Johnny Davis at 8, and Dyson Daniels, a good fit for the San Antonio Spurs, I think. They love international prospects. They've had 3 Aussie players that have won championships with them in the past, with Paddy Mills, with Aaron Baines and Andrew Gaze. They've all won rings with the San Antonio Spurs, and I feel like they will look at Dyson Daniels. But again, this isn't based on team needs. It just happened to fall that way. Yeah, AJ Griffin at 10. And for me, so far, I've got Tari Eason sliding in at number 11 as well for the New York Knicks, which is a prospect I would love. Tari Eason, a combo wing, small forward, power forward, can back up Obi Toppin next year, can play the 3 as well. His strengths are his length, incredible length, over 7-foot wingspan, can get up and down on the break, finishes strong. He has some crazy highlight dunks. Finishing in traffic is Tari Eason. He's a bit more raw on the offensive side of things, but he has enormous potential to stroke it, enormous potential in the defensive end. I think that would shore up our wing spot at the defensive end. So I'll sit there for a second and say, if the Knicks do end up with Tari Eason, that's a prospect I'd be extremely happy with if we were to stay where we're at. I just feel like it's excellent value for where it's at. He does a lot of things defensively and offensively potential on that side of the ball. And also his ability to finish and get up and down and be box office with Obi if we keep Mitch and all of that kind of good stuff. Now, this is where things get interesting. So what I've done is the third final tier is trading down prospects as well. It's an incredibly deep draft, like I said. And then there are a heap of prospects I love from 12 down to 30 as well. So the whole first round you see in front of you, ladies and gents. So yeah, where we fall at 11, that's where the second tier finishes. And then all of the other prospects down below are potential trade down prospects that I like as well that fit into the first round. Now, lastly, we have trade partners in bold. The teams that I've put in bold, I feel have multiple selections, and they're a likely trade scenario. So we'll start with the first team in bold. We'll have OKC, the OKC Thunder. We all know about their situation, Sam Presti and his war chest out there. So the OKC Thunder have 3 first-round picks in the first round, which is crazy talk. The 4th selection, the 12th selection, and the 30th selection as well. I do not see the OKC Thunder making 3 selections. Right? I don't know if you guys could see it. You guys let me know, but I don't see the OKC Thunder making 3 selections. So they're at the 4th spot, the 12th, and the 30th spot as well. So I feel like they're a potential candidate to want to trade some of those picks and maybe flip them for a future pick. And this is where the New York Knicks can get into action, and Brock Aller earns his money and maybe gets us an extra pick or so as well. As we see a Jalen Duren at the 12th selection. That'd be a nice win there. And a Dalen Terry, a nice value selection towards the end of the first round if he's there as well. Ladies and gentlemen, the next team I've got in bold is the Portland Trailblazers at the 6th selection. Right, Portland Trailblazers. We all know their issue with Damian Lillard right now, and we chopped up the potential of a Julius Randle fit. They could absorb Julius Randle's salary straight up into their trade exception as well. So Portland have flexibility. They can wheel and deal. So, hey, there are potential to want to explore trades for a veteran for that 6th selection. There's talk that they will be interested in Jeremy Grant as well. If they're interested in Jeremy Grant, why not be interested in Julius Randle as well? So, with that said, I got the San Antonio Spurs slotting in at the 9th spot, and the Spurs have 3 selections in the first round as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let that sink in. They fall into the 9th selection, the 20th selection, and the 25th selection as well. So that is prime situation for the New York Knicks to explore a potential trade with the San Antonio Spurs. You see the talent available at the 20th selection. Ousmane Dieng, Jeremy Soker might slip, Kendall Brown, Tai Tai Washington, Nikola Jovic, Marjon Beauchamp, out there for the G League Ignite, and Jean Montero, a quality point guard prospect at the 25th range as well. Christian Koloko, a huge center out there as well. If Mitchell Robinson, decides to take a greener pasture out there. So the San Antonio Spurs, give us your thoughts on that. They have 3 first-round picks, and so do the OKC Thunder. Then we have the Charlotte Hornets in the 13th and the 15th spots as well. So Malachi Branham, I love his potential out there. A couple of comps I've got, which I'll talk about in the future shows. But he has a pretty high floor and a high ceiling, in my opinion, is Malachi Branham. And I think he's going to rise. A lot of people are saying Malachi will rise once he starts doing workouts as well. Can fill it up. A deadly mid-range offensive weapon, doesn't need any time to rise up and fire, and can shoot the 3-ball well, catch and shoot, can dribble and play make, and he has good defensive intensity, a good motor on the defensive end. There's Malachi Branham. He gets after it as well. So the makings of a two-way guy at the 13th range. And I like Jaden Hardy for the G League Ignite, one of the best, undersized, but one of the best shot creators in the draft at about 6'4". He can do a little bit of everything, ball handling duties, secondary ball handling duties, and an offensive weapon out there as well. I think his stock could continue to rise. So Charlotte with 2 picks in that range as well. Maybe the New York Knicks want to get out of the 11th spot and take on the 13th spot and take on another asset, or take on the 15th spot and take on another asset. So you guys let me know your thoughts on all this as well, given the fact that Tari Eason might be there versus who might be there later in that range as well. Now the Houston Rockets, I've put that there because the Houston Rockets, they do have the first overall selection. So they have the first selection. If they get Paolo Banchero, Jabari Smith, Shaedon Sharp, whoever their heart desires in the lottery, should they stay there in the lottery, maybe that 17th pick Maybe they look to try to bring in a veteran. Maybe they look to try to flip it. You know, they're paying that first overall pick a lot of salary. So the Houston Rockets might want to get out of that 17th pick. Now we have the Memphis Grizzlies balling out. They have 2 picks in the first round as well, pick 22 and pick 29. So you see the talent available. You know, the New York Knicks would be nice value to pick up a Kendall Brown, Tai Tai Beauchamp at the 20th selection, the 22 selection range as well. And then, of course, you have the 29th selection. There's some value there with Kennedy Chandler at the point, Bryce McGowans and Dalen Terry as well, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, that's some most likely trade partners I can see in terms of wheeling and dealing picks and moving up and down. And my rankings of the first round, prospects as well. So give us your thoughts, and I want to get through all of the chat. So don't worry. And JJ, I hope we don't touch either of our 2023 first round picks. That draft going to be so loaded with gifted players. Yep, facts. Right, next year is going to be insane. And Sean says Duran is Miles Turner, but without the offense. Not a great rebounder. Yep, he's very raw. And L says if Dyson is gone at 11, I would not mind trading back for multiple picks. This is a very deep draft from 15 to 35. Yep, absolutely. Facts, right? You see the board there as well. You know, in years past, I'd never been more willing to want to trade down, just because again, you could certainly find the same level talent from 18 as you would around the 11th range as well. And Sherwin says Paolo Banchero I would not pick in the top 10. Okay, that's going against the grain. And JJ, I hear you, Sherwin. You're not wrong. Just saying, at least he will give us rim protection for Jalen Duran, which Thibs loves. Yep, absolutely he does. 19 says Keon Ellis or Travion Williams in the second round would be solid pickups. Appreciate that, 19. We'll chop up the second round a lot more as we get closer, as we know the results of the lottery. Agbaji, winner of the championship, falling to 16, somewhere between 8 and 12. So, yep, D Cool's a lot higher on Agbaji than I am at this point in time. Yep. I think as workouts start to happen, D, I certainly could see Agbaji in that range right now. I do think other prospects rise, fam, as we get closer and they start working out between, with different teams. And Dirty Dancer, Eason racks up blocks and steals while showing microwave scoring. What's not to like, right? You hit the money there. Absolutely on point. What's not to like? And that's why I feel good about where we're at too, fam. If Eason's not there, then it means Dyson Daniels is going to be there. If Dyson Daniels isn't there, it means AJ Griffin's going to be there. If those guys aren't there, then it means Malachi Branham is definitely there, or Williams, or Duran as well, which other teams may fall in love with, and they may want to desperately trade up. So the New York Knicks, believe it or not, we are in a kind of a position of power at the same time with how deep this thing goes. If you at least go to 14, 15, there could be a lot of talent that teams fall in love with after working them out, right? And may want to get that 11th spot. So salute for that, Dirty. And our Revolution, what's good? We don't need a small forward. Cam the man, Cam Reddish as well. Yep, I'm very high on Cam Reddish, fam, as well. But the good thing is Tari Eason can play a lot of 4 as well. He's 6'9", at least 6'9", with crazy 7-foot wingspan as well. I think he's a nice prototypical 4 in this day and age, when with the small ball lineups getting up and down with Obi. And L, what have you got? Trade back targets would be for you Mark Williams, Tari Eason, Jalen Duran in the mid first. I love Dalen Terry, Marjon Beauchamp, Kennedy Chandler, John Montero later in the first, and also love Alondes Williams. Yep, who falls into the second round at my present time. But yeah, I agree with just about everything you said there. So incredible value. If you look at the Memphis selections, 22 and 29, could the Knicks get, some of those picks from Memphis, if they wanted to desperately trade up, if they feel like their window's closer than they think, right? We go back to teams flaming out in the playoffs. They desperately want to get some stuff. JJ, we can get this guy in the second round. Ibu Yabaji, 7'1", 7'8" wingspan. Yep, Sherwin's been high on him from day one. He'll be better than Gobert. Whoa, that's a huge statement. Banchero will be top 4 for D Cool. Yep. CT, the next 2 draft class will be loaded. I hope we trade the pick with Obi, IQ, and the Dallas pick for a point guard. So Sherwin's definitely following the future drafts coming up as well. It's always good to have a good eye on what's coming up as well. Yep. What about Koloko? Yep. I love me some Koloko as well. The 26th selection there. I've got Dallas as well. Maybe Dallas a likely trade partner. We chopped it up. We know Brunson. We know the Julius talk. Maybe that 26th pick for Dallas could play a part in that. And Revolution, I'll trade up for Sharp. For me, easy. He's going to be that good as well. Yep. Definitely a trade up target as well. What would you be willing to part? Because it's quite a long ways to move up. Revolution, if the Knicks have to get from 11 to, I think Shaden Sharp's going to go no lower than 6 as well. So we're going to have to part with some serious picks or players out there as well. And Sherwin says Banchero can't handle good defenders. And Mike says if we can trade back or trade for another pick, I'd be thrilled coming out with Soken and Liddell. Yeah, EJ Liddell and Soken. Yeah. Facts, fam. So you're on the same kind of mindset. So you could get Soken at potentially 17 from Houston, pick, and also EJ Liddell around the mid first round. EJ Liddell with the 24th ranked prospect on my board. So Illmatic, salute my friend. What's good? Give us your thoughts on this situation, right? We're getting closer to the lottery. We're breaking down these prospects. And L says, the Hornets have 13 and 15 and book night. I would trade back for a combination of those assets. San Antonio has Devin Vassell and 3 first-rounders. I'd consider a Spurs package. Yep, hitting the money there is L. Yeah, I like those scenarios too. That's why I highlighted them in bold. We got Charlotte and we got San Antonio. Something's got to give with those teams. OKC Thunder. Something has got to give. They've got young talent and they've got way too many picks as well. They might want to move up and consolidate as well. And there are some red flags with Shaden Sharp. Questions about his motor after Kevin Knox. That scares me. Well, that certainly is scary if that's the case. Yeah, I definitely want to see, can't wait to hear more as he starts to maybe work out for a team as well. And it's going to be interesting to see just how secretive they are with his workouts. Does he promise a few teams and deny a lot of other teams as well? And Tari Eason also played small ball center for LSU. Yep, facts. I like that as well. Buzzer beater. What about Kai Soto as well? Appreciate you for that. He'll be around the top of the second round for me, fam. Yeah, but good looks for that. Yeah, a nice prospect out there who played down here in Australia for the New Zealand Breakers. And Banchero wasn't in the championship game. It was NCV Kansas as well. Yes, he was good enough. NC dominate him. He is soft. So showing up big on Banchero as well. But yeah, basically, I think the New York Knicks' first target, if I got to guess right now, I feel like that there is a situation where we're going to look at where we're actually slated first. We're going to look at the prospects. We're going to bring dudes in, work them out. We're talking about the AJ Griffins, Easons, Johnny Davis, Benny Mathurin. I think they are in love with. Ivy, they're in love with as well. I think they're going to work those dudes out, see how enamored they are in them and see what the price tag is to move up. So I think that's going to be the New York Knicks' first order of business to look at that. Secondly, if the price is too expensive or they just start to fall in love with so many of the prospects around our range, I think there's more incentive to stay pat. So I think nothing's really going to change in years past. We're still going to try and move up as a first option. I think we still want to try to get the best available talent that we can possibly get. But then, if all things become too difficult, we're going to look at who we are around the 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe a small trade up if we desperately really need Dyson Daniels or we love, another prospect around there as well. Then, obviously, the third option is if it's just too good to resist, the scenarios that El Tagrasso brought up, other issues, other teams calling the Knicks maybe below the 11th spot, and they offer something that's sexy, takes our interest, then I think the New York Knicks are going to seriously start weighing all options up. The Ivies, the Shaden Sharp, the price tag to move up, the possibilities, versus the players around their range and who they've worked out, and then versus all that talent you see from 12 to 30 as well, and the potential of the New York Knicks getting their hands on 2 to 3 of those prospects as well to fill this roster out. And salute Tom from Huntington. What's good, my friend? And P Nice wants to trade the pick. P Nice, who would you prefer the New York Knicks to go after with this pick as well? Would you like to get a veteran or roll it forward into future drafts? And Buzzer says no point guard in this draft that could replace IQ. I think, IQ is certainly in the box seat, my friend. I think IQ is in the box seat. However, I think Jaden Ivey would be the guy that they could bring in that could play alongside IQ for sure. I think IQ and Jaden Ivey would be nice next to each other. I think IQ and Dyson Daniels would also be a nice complementary backcourt. And I think Malachi Branham is the same kind of thing. I think as you go further down, I think, Tai Tai Washington certainly falling. Talk about rises and fallers. Let's touch on that. I think Tai Tai Washington, is sort of slipping, somewhat unfairly. I think he was injured and he had some family illness as well, which had him, facing some tough times at the end of the tournament. So I think Tai Tai could get up again with some solid workouts, but I don't see Tai Tai getting above 14, 13 kind of range. There's just so many other nice prospects. So I expect Tai Tai to fall around that 14 to 20 range as well. In terms of rises, I'm hearing the name Ousmane Dieng, played in the NBL down here as well. He's rising up the board. He's got crazy length. It's interesting. I've got him so close to Jeremy Sokan, and those guys are very, very similar games. Raw offensively, but crazily gifted in size, length, and defensive potential for those guys. Those sort of 6'9", 6'10" wings that can play either forward position as well. And Ochai Agbaji, I feel like he could definitely be a riser, as he starts to work out and shoot the lights out. Jaden Hardy will be a riser, in my opinion. I think the two centers will be in high demand as well, given that it's a short pull for the center spots. Mark Williams, Jalen Duren as well. Like I said, there might be a team around the 13 to 17 range that may want to get up to 11 to take that kind of guys that are rare and more in demand. So that's where the New York Knicks could be sitting pretty as well. But those guys could be sitting pretty and where the Knicks hit as well. So, there's a lot of people obviously saying there's obviously the chance the New York Knicks could, the 12th spot could be the spot that jumps in the lottery as well. And the New York Knicks will be the laughing stock again. It's keeping me awake at night. The draft lottery is so close, I can taste it. And I just want to know where the Knicks are going to pick, right? We could all breathe a sigh of relief a bit after that. And then we can really, really further home, dive deeper into this thing. And a salute to Tom. Says no low motor players anymore as well. Yep, I tend to agree. We got high motor guys in Deuce, Quickly, Grimes, Obi, Jericho Sims. I like their fit and what they did towards the end of the season. Right, I think a high motor guy next to those guys would be nice as well. And D Cool says the Tar Heels are running it back and will be the championship team next season. And I'm not a Banchero fan, but they already know who they want to project to stardom, and he's one. And Buzzer says, I've heard Tai Tai is grossly overrated. Well, I think it's somewhere between, he's faced some adversity and, he had a bad tournament, but I don't know if he's, as overrated as some people are saying. The guy's going to get to the league with more spacing. He's an elite pick and roll playmaker. Is Tai Tai. He's a great mid-range spot up shooter as well. I think you'll find himself in the league for a long time. Again, when you're picking in the lottery, you obviously want a player with all-star potential. Tai Tai's knocks are his athleticism, his slower first step, can't get separation as well, and he's not overly long either as well. He's not an overly long guy. So with that said, he may have been overrated earlier. Maybe he's starting to sort of fall back to where he really should be, basically. And JJ, I think Johnny Davis could fall to 11 after a couple real rough games in March Madness. Yep. Yeah, I like that point, JJ, too, as well. Facts. I think even just for the fact that there could be other rises, sometimes a player might be falling, not just because it's that player, it's other players just rise. And, these scouts, these NBA teams, they just, it's like a teenager with a heart on. They basically fall in love with a certain thing, and we all seen teams overreact to a solid workout, basically the New York Knicks being one of them. Right. All it takes is a couple of these prospects we're looking at on this screen right now to shut the gym down and turn the lights out. And next thing you know, while West is on the phone, this GM and this scout's on the phone trying to get things going, right? Thinking that they saw something that other execs haven't seen yet, and they start to get giddy about it as well. So that's why I love all this thing and chopping it up. It's all in the eye of the beholder. And Elsa's list of guys worth trading the top 4 pick: Shai Gilgeous, Josh Giddey, Jalen Suggs, Devin Vassell, DeJounte Murray, and Jonathan Kuminga. Yep, would be worth considering. Yep. I agree with SGA. I would agree with Giddey. I would agree with Suggs as well, just because we need that point guard badly as well. And DeJounte Murray, absolutely. DeJounte Murray and Kuminga. So Devin Vassell, I'd have to think a bit more harder about it. But yeah, good facts there as well. Dirty Dancer, AJ Griffin is a nice compliment to RJ. Yep. And that's the situation, Dirty, that could then be seriously realistic. You see there, AJG's fallen slightly, I feel. The fact that Benedict Mathurin just seems to be solidified between the 5 to 8 range. Benedict Mathurin, and like I said, once he shuts down a couple of gyms with solid workouts, it could be a wrap. Like that guy could get a promise, and then it's a wrap. His agent calls it a wrap. No need to work out no more for the combine or for whatnot as well. And with that said, we'll talk more about the combine as we get the green lights from which prospects is going to hit the combine. We know Dyson Daniels, which is a great news, is going to hit the combine. I saw his agent post that out there as well. So that's solid, a more mystery kind of guy. People are saying, hey, he played against G League talent, whatnot. All right, great. Let's see Dyson Daniels up against the creme de la creme, the NBA combine. That's going to be must-see TV as well. And that'll be on TV for us to see as well. So Dyson Daniels is really going to have to earn his keep with this situation. And to your point, AJG is another guy that could go as high as, I could see him go as high as 6 if a team loves him. And I could also see him slip to 11 as well to that point. And Buzzer says, look, unless we get really lucky, this is not going to be a quick fix. Yep. Facts, right? Yep. I'm personally not looking for no quick fix either, right? This is about building blocks, about steady movement and steady building blocks, fam, up in here as well. And Rome wasn't built in a day. And we saw the Golden State Warriors. We see them continue to extend their dynasty right through solid management. Basically, they got lucky in their first dynasty with Clay, Steph, Draymond, and they got KD. And then what did they do? They bottomed out for a year or two, maybe by luck. Steph Curry and Clay got injured. KD left. They retooled in the blink of an eye with Wiseman, Kuminga, Poole, development all up in here as well. And Dirty says Johnny Davis is like a smaller Dylan Brooks, just gets buckets and he plays tough. Yep. I like his size too, solid frame, just his ability to play, carry a team and play tough as well. I want those kind of guys in New York, exactly. And as in future shows, I'll be doing more player comps for these guys and their strengths and their weaknesses as well. So this is just the first big board reveal as well before the lottery. But look forward to diving deeper into all these prospects and their comps and their ceilings and floors and NBA and strengths and weaknesses, like you said. But I like myself some Johnny Davis as well, which is why I've got him in sort of that second tier. That is a possibility of a trade up. Last year the New York Knicks tried to do a prayer and move up from 23, or was it they tried to move up from 19 to pick 13 or 19 to pick 11 in order to get Chris Duarte. That was just too far to move up. From the 11th spot, the New York Knicks can seriously move up with this slot where we're at, and that's taking into account us not moving up in the lottery either. So if the Knicks can get up, stay pat, then there's still a chance we could move up to 8 or 9. It might take Quentin Grimes, it may take Cam Reddish and some picks, but the New York Knicks have those assets to be able to move up as well from that orange tier that you see, and maybe even into the red tier. Who the heck knows? DJ Cash, Sohan fits our profile because of his defensive acumen, which is NBA ready. He can switch on the pick and roll, trade Julius, and he can be Obi Toppin's backup. DJ Cash, I like those points you put out there as well. And I think the Knicks is definitely looking hard at that situation. We saw an article this week from Seth Greenberg giving quotes to the New York Post about he feels that the New York Knicks should be looking heavily at this gentleman right here for those reasons, like you said. And I think he could be one of the solid risers as well. They don't teach physical tools, basically. Physical tools aren't something you need to impress in a workout or something you need to get better at. You're either born with those tools or not. And those kind of guys, Ousmane Dieng, Jeremy Sohan, Tari Eason, those guys are blessed to be in a situation where they can play the 3 or the 4 in this modern day NBA as well. So those guys don't grow on trees, right? Absolutely. And Armando Baycott, he likes him more than Obi. Baycott is a straight dog. So I appreciate you guys popping that out there as well. Facts. Buzzer says, I'm not 100% sold on Baycott. He reminds me of a lot of J.R. Reed and Psycho T as well. And El Tigrasso says, I think your boy Mark Berman reported last year that the Knicks were trying to trade up to select Jalen Suggs and may have been willing to give up RJ Barrett as well. So the New York Knicks' first MO, exactly like you said, is to try to move up. I didn't hear the Jalen Suggs talk as much, but I definitely heard the Chris Duarte and the Trey Mann and the Trey Murphy talk. Right, those guys were in style closer to the draft. Right, the New York Knicks were desperately trying to move up, but like I said, unfortunately, we're in the 19th spot. That was just too far to move up. That was wishful thinking, especially when those prospects became hotter and hotter. The closer we got to the draft as well. But again, long story short, I love where we're at 11 at this point in time. Because, at the end of the day, I keep stressing this, basketball is a game of 5-on-5. You can't have 5 superstars, right? Everybody wants a star. But, hey, if we can select a solid prospect that could become a solid starting player in the league, right, for years to come, right, that's a win for right now, right? This year was a development year. Some of our younger players showed what they can be, showed some growth, absolutely, this year as well. It's about complementing them with another young prospect, based on needs or fit, whichever one they decide, and a player that can be fit for New York, basically, as well. Fit for New York means, high character guy at the moment. They're looking for high character guys. They're looking for length. They're looking for shooting, or they're looking for solid D with Tom Thibodeau up in here as well. Solid motor and a solid D. And if Baycott stays healthy and get a nutritionist so he doesn't get gas so fast, he'll be better. And JJ says, I'd give up RJ for a 2023 pick. RJ isn't the answer. So JJ is looking further ahead, wants to flip some of the younger studs on the team. Look, next year is going to be crazy to think as well. Some of the prospects coming out are generational. That's for sure. But yeah, all eyes on this year's draft for now, for me. But yeah, don't be surprised if the New York Knicks pick up an extra pick for this year's draft and then pick another pick for next year's draft as well with some of these teams that might want to move up to get 11 from us. And for Sharp, I would trade a first round 2024. We need a game changer to go to the basket. Revolution putting his thoughts out there. Appreciate you for that. Shaden Sharp is one of those players in this draft that's worth trading up for as well. Yeah, and to part with another pick in the future, maybe not 2023, but 2024, that could definitely pay off. That could still be a smart move as well. So yeah, in terms of trading up, I don't want to give up too much because I feel like we have some young players that we can continue to see and we need better looks at. We need to play it smart at the end of the day as well. We need to play this thing smart. There's going to be a lot of other teams try to get into the top 5 this year because of the parity and the less star potential talent in this draft, the less superstar potential in this draft. It's going to have a lot of teams either try to get into the top 5 or to move back down as well. So the Knicks are going to face a lot of competition. Revolution, we need guys who can go to the basket, not just jump shooters as well. Yep. We still do need shooting. I mean, we've got RJ, Randall, and Mitch that clog the paint at the moment. So yeah, we do need still a lot of shooting. I'd like to see Quentin Grimes get a ton more minutes if Evan Fournier sticks around as well. But yeah, I do agree with you. We need a point guard that can get penetration as well. Jaden Ivey stands out to me. The way we're seeing Ja Morant light things up as well, Jaden Ivey would be perfectly ideal if we can get to the top 4 as well. If I wonder if he slips as well. So, see, someone's got to slip to that 5th spot. For me, I put Ivy there because I think Shaden Sharp is going to get a promise. But I could easily see Jaden Ivey going 2nd, basically as well. So 1st to 5, it's in the eye of the beholder and whatever the team wants to do, basically. But I could see the New York Knicks in any team trading up for Jaden Ivey in a heartbeat. So Chet Holmgren, a lot more of a riskier proposition in terms of his frame. Some teams are going to be turned off of Chet. Some teams are going to be hot on his heels as well. So that's going to be another thing where workouts play a huge key in this thing, right? We know workouts can move guys' stock. A la Wise up in here. Salute, fam. What's good? Peace to all, and happy Mother's Day to you and your fam and everyone out there as well. Yeah, JJ says, yeah, you were dead right about that buzzer beater as well. Yeah, we need guys that can get to the cup. And yeah, in terms of that said, ladies and gentlemen, we also got, best needs and we got a best player available, right? I want to talk a little bit more about the current players we got, and their role next season, their role. With that said, I'm high on Obi Toppin, and I feel like, Soken, Jang, I feel like Dyson Daniels, Tari Eason would fit nicely next to RJ, Obi, and the point guard, so whoever that point guard is. And in terms of the center spot, I would only take Duran or Mark Williams if I know that Mitchell Robinson's going to be gone. Yeah, for me, I'd rather take a wing. Yeah, the wings available, there's just so many of them. I know there's only 2 centers mostly available. I know Koloko and some other guys around, but it's easier to find a center for me. It's easier to find a guy like that, undrafted, or trade for them, sign them in free agency, all of that kind of stuff, right? I don't see star potential in Duran or Mark Williams at this point in time, so I'd be prepared to take a wing over them a lot more. And I feel like there's a nice slot I know Cam Reddish is still here for a year, but I feel like a guy that can play the 2, the 3, or the 4 would be most ideal in this draft, as well as a point guard. Obviously, the point guard stocks are thin. In the second round, we'll chop up a lot more prospects, but I could see Kennedy Chandler. I could see Jean Montero later in the first round, and I could see Tai Tai as being point guards. If they have a second pick in the first round, they could look at those guys as well. Dalen Terry as well could handle the rock. So I feel like the New York Knicks are definitely going to try to get up and try to take a point guard, Daniels, Jaden Ivey, Shaden Sharp, a guard as well. And then also look at the wings very, very heavily. And El says, Jaden Ivey is not a point guard. He's not a good decision maker. If the Knicks draft him, they need to pair him with a big playmaker, either Dyson Daniels, Dalen Terry, Alondes Williams. Yep, some good points you made there. In terms of Ivey's decision making was exposed in the tournament. No lies, he was exposed. He's still got ways to go, and I think it's very, very similar knocks to what Quickly had on him, and not having that sample size enough of him making an impact, as a lead ball handler and decision maker as well. Jaden Ivey is just that kind of guy that just needs to play next to a better ball handler, decision maker as well, and he can just stick to what he's best at, which is lighting it up, scoring, getting to the cup, and all of that good stuff, right? Talk about pace. Jaden Ivey would improve the New York Knicks' pace incredibly, getting up and down with Quickly, maybe even Rose in the backup spot, and all the other pieces the Knicks have, kicking out to the shooters in Quentin Grimes, and Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish, and playing up, getting up and down with Obi Toppin and maybe Mitchell Robinson and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, Jaden Ivey is a talent that could help the Knicks, but yeah, he needs better decision making next to him as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. So we'll talk about a little bit about what rumors have been out there so far, and we've heard from the New York Post, Jabari Smith is the New York Knicks are high on Jabari Smith. So that's very interesting for me. As soon as I heard that, that means they're not sold on. Obviously, they weren't sold on Randall, and also they feel like maybe Obi Toppin could be expendable as well if Jabari Smith is available as well. Shaden Sharp has the Kentucky connections. Like at what point in time is that seriously going to come home and benefit us and help us? The connections with Quickly, were there, but that was a later sort of selection, a swing for the fences kind of move. But when is it really, really going to make an impact with a high-end Kentucky prospect finding their way on the Knicks? That remains to be seen. There's some Duke prospects, obviously, with AJG and the like, Mark Williams. But, in terms of Kentucky, Shaden Sharp, maybe he slips. I know I've got him quite high, but, I'm not against the proponent that Shaden Sharp will fall. Yeah, absolutely. He's an unknown dude. He didn't play college, right? For him to even go in the top 4, Shaden Sharp is going to have to seriously earn that and work out for at least a couple of teams and improve his perception, and get that promise for them. It's a tough ask to not play any college and to go that high. So he could be the real deal if he certainly gets into that top 4, where I've got him in that 3rd spot as well. For me, it's not just about Chet rising; it's more about other teams. It's not just about it's not just about Shaden Sharp rising. It's more about players like Chet maybe falling. So some teams may be cautious with Chet. You know what I mean? With his body, with his frame, all of that kind of stuff. Maybe there are teams below them that are willing to take that gamble, and an exchange can happen. So yeah, I feel much more safer picking a guard prospect or a wing prospect instead of a lanky prospect like Chet Holmgren as well. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens with Chet as well. Yeah, showing him how many wings are available. And JJ, I'm high on Obi too. to be at 11% from 3 early in the year and end up 30% is so impressive. It shows real growth. Once he got minutes, you could see he can shoot. Yep. And he could always shoot well from the free throw line, JJ as well. So I think, yeah, he's a nice prototypical four this day and age. You need a four that can stretch the floor to win in this league, right? There's no doubt about it, fam. Obi Toppin's game, he needs his full repertoire to reach his full potential. And NBA needs to change having draft before free agency. Teams don't know certain needs they may have, right? Yep. What are your thoughts on that point that JJ made, spitting knowledge? With that, appreciate that conversation point you brought up, because yeah, it's very interesting. It's been that way. They've talked about it for a long time. NBA needs to change, the order as well. It's tough to make the pick before you even know whether your unrestricted free agent is going to leave or not, right? Don't you? Right. To me, it just makes a bit more sense flipping the two. Absolutely, it does. Right. Then you have a better control over who you're selecting. And taking more shots will improve your percentage. I like Keegan Murray, D-Cool, high on Keegan Murray. Absolutely. A lot of people are high on Keegan Murray. He can, probably the best scorer in the draft, basically. He's an absolute bucket from anywhere on the court. What do they say? A death by 1,000 cuts with Keegan Murray. Basically, a threat to score anywhere on the floor. Kind of reminds me a little bit about Carmelo Anthony's game coming out, where he could light it up from basically anywhere. And El Tagrasso says AJ Griffin Stock will be dependent on how his medicals check out at the combine. He's had injuries the last few years, and he's lost some athleticism already. Yeah, on point there as well. I agree, which is why he was around the 5th to 6th spot for me starting this season, but now I find him down in 10 as well. There's some red flags for sure. And for me, a guy so young, I'm watching him play, and his legs, he's got those knee bandages as well. He's got the knee braces basically as well. I see a player that's 18 years old playing with 2 knee braces. Is something to watch, right? Something to watch at such a young age. DJ Cache, appreciate you, fam, as well. No link tonight. We're just chopping things up from the chat show perspective as well. But I'll certainly let you know when I do another panel show. Appreciate you and supporting. Let's get it. Mino, what's good? Salute. I have a feeling the Knicks will draft either Johnny Davis or Malachi Branham if we stay at 11, and I'd be hyped for either. So, yep, I would be hyped as well. Absolutely. Talk about value at that selection. And talk about the ladder, Malachi Branham rising up the charts as well. He could seriously be there before 11 as well. It'd be a huge rise. But Malachi Branham is at potential to move up higher than 11. Absolutely. But for me, what has me feeling good was that would mean, look at the prospects above that would have to fall down. Talking about the Johnny Davis, Dyson Daniels, AJG, Tari Eason, maybe even Shaden Sharp. Let's say, worst case scenario, something goes wrong with Shaden Sharp and he falls down, but he still gets that promise. He still gets that promise from the New York Knicks, or he gets that promise from Washington Wizards or someone like that, or an OKC Thunder as well. And the good thing about Shaden Sharp, from what I've heard, is he's a quiet guy. He's focused. He's a shy guy, but he's all about his business as well. From Canada, he's focused on his game. Obviously has a high pedigree coming up, but he's shot up the ranks very, very quickly as well. So he hasn't been sort of showered with praise his whole upbringing. So Shaden Sharp is a late bloomer, a late riser. And I feel like he's gonna have what it takes to really succeed in this league long term. And J-Dub, salute. I feel that Johnny Davis or Agbaji will fall to us. Well, yep. Agbaji, I think Agbaji is definitely a guy that's going to be there at 11, fam. And Johnny Davis has potential to. I think if Dyson Daniels absolutely kills the combine, maybe so. Maybe at Johnny Davis's expense. he falls down. Maybe Malachi Branham and Mark Williams rise so much as well. And you guys see where I've got the centers in Jalen Duren and Mark Williams. That's fairly modest. I've seen some dudes with Jalen Duren with the 7th or 8th selection. So there could be a team like Sacramento or the New Orleans Pelicans or someone that falls in love, with that center out there as well. So that could be something really, really worth watching. If one of those centers moves up so high, that's going to only squeeze more quality wings down where we're at. Like Ben Simmons, had back problems in college and still dealing with it. And D Public Enemy, what's good, salute. Mathurin or Mark Williams will be handed to the Knicks. Yep. Mathurin, I would love that situation. I think that's going to be a situation where the Knicks are most likely going to have to trade up, my friend, with Benedict Mathurin. I just think he's got that kind of it factor all about him. Benny Mathurin is going to work out for a couple of teams only, I feel, and that's going to be a wrap. Talk about Portland. Even Portland may fall in love with him at 6. They lost CJ McCollum. They need a ready-made guy to come in there and contribute if they keep their pick. And talk about, Benny Mathurin or Keegan Murray. That could be ideal for Portland as well if they decide to keep that pick. And Amino, Shaden on the Knicks would be so dope. I really think the Knicks would trade up for him if the opportunity presented itself. Yeah, Mino hit the point there as well. Got to touch on that with the Kentucky connections. The New York Knicks, you would hope, would have the most intel out of any squad, right? They just have to. Calipari's seen Shaden in the gym. Only a handful of teams and execs have ever seen Shaden Sharp in the gym in competitive scrimmage. So, yeah, with that, fam, you bring up a great point that the Knicks should have the intel they need in order to move up and get Shaden Sharp, right? Absolutely, fam. And one can only hope, because I'm very, very high on Shaden Sharp, in a draft of this caliber, to get a prospect like that. And a Bricks Nation, salute. Agbaji is a top 7 pick, in my opinion. Agbaji got athleticism, shoots the lights out. Great NBA size, 6'5", NBA ready as well. Ochai Agbaji. Maybe I'm sleeping on him a little bit more at this point in time, but I could definitely have him higher as well. I just like a lot of the other prospects above him as well, in terms of there's less centers available as well. So I could see a lot of other teams, going for that situation as well, and the strength of all the other wings. But yeah, this just rings home as to how much parity there is. A guy like Agbaji could easily go 7, 8, 9 in any draft, as could some of these guys in the teens could seriously rise up as well. In Sohan, Dieng, Kendall Brown as well, fam. I'm still not sleeping on Tai Tai repairing his trade stock. So his value. And Marajon Beauchamp as well could be a late riser up in here. And J-Dub, like he says, the combine is going to be so very important. Some player is going to show out and raise their stock. Yep, facts. Absolutely. It happens every year, fam. Good point. Good point with that. There's going to be dudes also, their stock may decline. Maybe they get outplayed by someone else. And that just rings home as to how risky it is. And I understand why some agents don't let their guys work out at the combine as well. It's kind of a crapshoot. And a classic example of how it can benefit you, fam, is that Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes absolutely solidified his pick with the Knicks in the combine. Everyone said it. His performance at the combine, Tom Thibodeau was there, present, was able to see Quentin Grimes look like one of the best players on the court in his scrimmage at the combine. And that got him drafted with the 25th pick as well. So like J-Dub says, ladies and gents, I look forward to continuing to chop this up. Like I said, one of my most favorite times of the year where we talk about these prospects, because, fast forward many, many years in the league, these guys we're looking at right now, and every year, their future's in their hands, their successes in their hands. And sometimes it's all about fit, where you fall with the team. Do they fall to the right team, which allows them to reach their potential? Do they fall to a team that has the ultimate development staff that can get the best out of them? Do they fall to a situation where they're just in a log jam, like Kevin Knox and Obi Toppin was at, like where you've got the point guard for Atlanta from the second round pick from last year, Sharif Cooper. He fell to a situation where he ain't getting the regular reps he needs because he's behind Trae Young as well. So just another point that rings home why JJ said earlier, should we move the draft after free agency, to benefit everybody? And Joseph, salute, been looking forward to this show topic all week. Let's go, fam. Yep, salute Joseph. Let's get it. And do you think the Knicks will have a mold of player that they will target, or they'll just go best player available at their pick? They salute Mino. Appreciate you. I don't feel like they'll go after a certain position, Mino. Firstly, I'll say that. And that's because I've heard they're interested in Jabari Smith. And that, to me, that lets me know that with Obi Toppin and Randall here, that they don't give a flying F about position. If they like a prospect, the New York Knicks are going to nab them as well. So I don't think the Knicks are going to be particularly interested in any type of position because they've shown a willingness to just move on from guys as well. But in terms of a mold, I think they're definitely going to look for the high character guy, maybe the more mature guy. That tends to be the theme lately. Going for the Deuce McBrides, the Quentin Grimes, Jericho Sims, guys that have been in college maybe a bit longer, or show that ready-made mentality. Their understanding of the game, their fundamentals. The interviewing aspect of things is going to be huge too. The New York Knicks with Worldwide West, Thibs and all that, they're going to be whining and dining these prospects and really trying to get into their head and to talk about, New York City, what do you want to achieve in the league? What's your MO all about in this NBA career you want? What do you think you could do in New York City next to the current team we have and all of this kind of thing? Do you want to win straight away? A personal accolades more important to you than team winning, all of that good stuff as well. So to basically answer your question, I think they're just going to go after any particular talent they like, regardless of position. And El says, salute, Tai Tai Washington has been working out at Kenny Payne's gym in Louisville this week. Hey, that's some straight jewels right there. Appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to that for a second. Tai Tai Washington has been working out for Kenny Payne's gym in Louisville this week. So we know Kenny Payne just recently departed the Knicks, right? So he's going to be close and still talking to Worldwide West and the CAA connection with the New York Knicks. So yeah, if Tai Tai is really looking nice, Kenny Payne's going to be putting that word in as well. So that could be a potential ripple effect to look out for. Guys, let's listen out for that. Salute. And J Dub says Quentin Grimes killed the combine. Yep, absolutely he did. Facts, right. And I'm looking for the next dude to straight kill the combine and to get his stock up there as well. And I think it'd be smart for a lot of these dudes in the 12 to 30 range. Why not? The dudes that are slated 1 to 11, they got a lot to lose by going to the combine. It's all about who has the most to gain by getting into the combine. Quentin Grimes had a lot to gain. He believed in himself, his game, and he could straight ball out the combine. And J-Dub, remember to CT closer we get to the draft, players' injury statics will play a part in where they get drafted. Sneaky injuries get exposed as well. A J-Dub hitting more jewels there as well. Appreciate you for that, fam. Exactly. Yep. Guy's willingness to go hard in a workout versus a guy who maybe gives it 50%, 60% in a workout, and then calls it quits. There's also these pro days, like El Tagrasso's hit on in the past. These pro days, some of them are scripted. They cushion them and soften the blow with shooting drills and all of that good stuff without exposing them to serious contact, And then you got junkyard dogs like Sean Montero and these other dudes, EJ Liddell and that Patrick Baldwin, they may really want to get in the gym and just eat guys alive. You know what I mean? And get their stock up as well. And a lot of second round sleepers as well, D cool as well. Facts, right? Yep. And the prospects we're looking at ain't even scratching the surface to what you're saying as well. I feel like there's going to be a lot of undrafted guys this year as well, ladies and gents. Undrafted guys that could be a sneaky pickup as well. You guys let me know who you think is any sort of potential late second round, maybe undrafted dude. The New York Knicks have the 42nd pick as well, which is going to be still nice. The New York Knicks are going to find themselves a tidy stash, draft and stash, or a prospect. Best believe that. And what's good, Drew? What's good? Appreciate you for joining us. Just got back from watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, best movie 2022. I appreciate you that. I've got to check that out. Nazareth, what's good, my friend? If Knicks miraculously get into the top 4, we should trade back with Charlotte and nab their 13th and 15th picks. Yep. Nazareth looking heavy at that situation as well as I am too. You got to look at the 13th and 15th picks, man, my friend. If you can end up with a Jalen Duren and a Malachi Branham or that kind of thing, Agbaji, Sohan, 2 of those kind of prospects, is 2 better than 1? You got to ask yourself as well. But it's probably a situation where they're going to love someone in the top 4, and it's going to be a tough move. Hard pass on Tai Tai for D Cool. Yep, he's got some work to do to repair his stock. J-Dub, also look out. They're going to be players overhyped by the media and then fall when they get drafted. Yep, another jewel as well. Absolutely, every year, book it. We saw Cole Anthony sit there and have to wait to hear his name called out. We saw Michael Porter Jr. fall due to some injury concerns. We saw Sharif Cooper go all the way to 48 last season after he was hyped like all hell. So yeah, you know it. J-Dub spitting knowledge there. You know someone's going to slip as well based on hype. Now, if I had to guess someone in the top 11, I could see, like I said, an AJG or a Dyson Daniels slip even further as well. The unknownness and the uncertainty as well could play a big part. And El Tagrasso says the Knicks do seem to have a mold. They like older guys. Yep, Deuce, IQ, Obi, Jericho, Quentin are all 20 to 23-year-olds. I doubt Thibs has the patience for a Shaden Sharp. Yep, exactly like what we said earlier, fam. Exactly. And also, just on that note, that is another reason why it's even more likely that the New York Knicks could trade back this season, either trade back or trade 1 pick for a future draft pick as well. So there's 2 options to either trade back and to take more players in this draft, or to get 1 pick later in this draft and then another pick in a future draft for the 2023 draft as well. That's playing chess, not checkers as well, and playing the long game. I'm all about the long game, not the short game. Salute, Tarek. What's good, my friend? Up in here. Salute. Hard pass on Tai Tai as well for Tarek. And Canelo loses. Okay, wow. I forgot all about that, fam. Was it a KO or a decision? And Buddy Boeheim point guard from Syracuse. Yep, playing chess as well, not checkers as well. Let's find that jewel in the rough. The next Alvarado, of our own kind of dude. We need to find these dudes. Maybe it's Ryan Rollins or Alondes Williams as well with the pick 42. Mino on point with that. Ryan Rollins' stock seems to be rising, fam. He could be a late first round flyer as well, as could Alondes Williams. But like we said, there's only certain dudes that can be picked, and we know for a fact that there's going to be talent that does fall, ladies and gentlemen. Around the early second round, you're going to get first round kind of value in this draft. That's what I mean with the depth up in this piece, and what you see ahead of you right now, what you're looking at, all these potential teams trying to move down and trade up as well. OKC Thunder with 3 picks, the San Antonio Spurs with 3 picks, Charlotte and Memphis with 2 picks in the first round, right? We had the assets to wheel and deal. And that's another way I'm going to be evaluating the New York Knicks front office and evaluating this just to see exactly what they can do, ladies and gentlemen, as well. This is putting them to the test. So are they a cohesive front office? Do decisions happen smoothly, and do they happen quickly without anyone seeing in the blink of an eye? And I DJ Cash with a question for Knicks Nation. Would we be all right if we moved down in the draft and if it meant getting rid of Julius and Alec Burks as well? Me personally, DJ Cash, absolutely. Absolutely, I'd be all right if we moved down first and foremost. And to be honest, I'd like it even more if it meant we got out of Julius and Alec Burks and maybe got extra picks for the future, right? I want to just move this thing forward in terms of the long term, the long game. Lose out on a better player by worrying about Randall. No, moving down, move up if we can. And Tarek says decision. He got dominated. Wow, that's a surprise. And Alondes Williams, Dalen Terry, and John Montero are all going to benefit from the combine. Yep, spitting facts there, right? Those guys, you just know they're slept on, and they've got more talent than what they've shown as well. And don't forget, it's been months since the season even ended. Between their season ending and the combine, these guys have had months of gym work. Getting bigger, getting in the gym, getting in the weight room. Well, there's so many factors. These are young kids still growing each and every day, right? They're maturing as each day goes by. And this is a heavy profession for them. It's all about, have they got the right people in their circle as well? And also other news in this week, El Tagrasso, pointed out that Jean Montero has changed agents, ladies and gentlemen. So Jean Montero has left Clutch Sports. So let that be a lesson to, these younger players, trying to go where the grass is greener on the big agency. It ain't always the case, right? Sometimes when you're an unknown international prospect or lesser known international prospect like Jean Montero, you need to be with a boutique agency, I feel, as well. I mean, Clutch Sports, that's the kind of agent you go with when you're established and you're big as well. So, yeah, I feel like that'd be the way to go, for these kind of guys. Yep, I feel like, yeah, it'd be the way to go. And Drew says, I've noticed that Syracuse doesn't really produce any high-end NBA talent anymore. What happened? They used to be so good back in the 2000s and early 2010s. And, yeah, I can't really comment too much because I'm not the biggest college head, Drew, but you certainly make a good question with that. And 7-5 the Russian. Appreciate that update. J-Dub, if we draft Tai Tai or Dyson, what is that saying about IQ or Deuce? If IQ can win the starting job now or Deuce get no burn, then we might need to trade them. Yep. I think they wouldn't hesitate, fam. I've even got, Deuce McBride in some throw-in trade scenarios to move up. He still has some currency, and some teams might feel like he's been underutilized as well. I love me some Deuce, but at the same time, I never want to overrate our players. I need to see more from Deuce. If anything, he's been robbed of minutes and the chance to develop. I 100% completely agree with that. But at the same time, I can't yet say that Deuce McBride is going to be, a solid contributor in the league for years and years to come. I need to see more. I hope it's with the New York Knicks. But at the end of the day, they might be enamored with size. I think, another situation where Tom Thibodeau loved Deuce McBride, but again, his size, if Dyson Daniels 6'8" without shoes, can come up in here, they may love that. They may love that proposition a lot more, and it just might be a case of process of elimination. If you continue to upgrade your talent, you're going to face a logjam, like you said, and you've just got to move on from that talent. You've got to know, as a business, you've got to know how to run an NBA team, and that's to continue to flip assets. Don't let them rot on the bench and lose trade value, right? Do exactly what you see, like, Golden State Warriors doing that, be continuing to develop guys and then bring them up, and then you move the next guys along. And I'm also hearing a lot of talk about D'Angelo Russell and his potential of getting traded. Now, would you guys be open to hearing about a D'Angelo Russell trade proposal potentially? So he could be had. I feel like. And Drew says, great question. Not everyone is going to agree with me on this, but I'd be okay moving down if it meant clearing up Julius and Burks. Really, any vets, in all honesty. Yep. Similar mindset, here, man. In terms of moving forward with this team, we're way off. Look at the East. It's loaded, man. We might not even be a play-in team next season. Let's just do the slow cook thing like OKC and Houston. And trust me, our time will come. I know a lot of fans don't want to hear that, and they want to win right now, or they want to win soon. Unfortunately, it's difficult in this league with 30 teams all trying to do the same thing. The thing is, you got to outsmart the other teams. It's chess, not checkers, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Basically, Golden State had to suffer punishment before they became good, before they did the right things as well. OKC got their dynasty because they got all of Seattle's talent, kind of thing. Houston bottomed out, and now they fell short, and now they're bottomed out. That they know the timeline of what to do and how to build this thing. And J-Dub, we have youth already. We need not to create a youth logjam. We need to find our young stars and groom them for success. Yep. And I'm okay with sprinkling in some vets, but we need to keep it light. We need to keep a couple of vets, and they need to be the right vets. And El Tagrasso, Tari Eason, Dalen Terry are currently training together. If the Knicks end up with both on draft night, Leon Rose gets an A from me. Yep. Facts. Those two would be nice complementary pieces. Absolutely. And that's where I love Tari Eason at pick 11. I just think he fits nicely. You could slot him in at 3 and 4, playing next to Obi, next to RJ. For me, yeah, and Dalen Terry, yep, I think he's going to rise. Like you said, he's going to rise at the combine, and dudes are going to fall. Who knows? Some of these guys in this late first round might be available for our second pick. Let's say a Marjon Beauchamp doesn't exactly light things up. He could slip to the 30s, early 40s. John Montero. Imagine if he's going to be there at pick 42. Christian Coloco as well. Again, I'm excited about the value available in this draft. And DJ Cash says, addition by subtraction, can't move up and make no changes to the current roster. Everything must change. Chess. And Mino, I think a Randall for D'Lo swap could be beneficial for both teams. I like D'Lo's fit next to RJ and the rest of our youth. Yep, I'd do that. I'd do that swap too. Yep, absolutely. I think a better fits the need. Obviously, you got Obi up in here. Fill the need with D'Lo and just rock from there as well. I don't think D'Lo has that many years on a contract, or he wouldn't have more than 5 years. Julius has 5 years as well, so another reason to do it, Mino. And El says Dyson Daniels is going to be a triple-double machine. He's a perfect fit with Obi Toppin, and Dyson is an elite outlet passer, and Obi loves to leak out. Would get Obi a ton of easy baskets as well. Yep. Great observation there as well. It reminds me of the Kevin Love, LaMelo Ball outlet pass as well, fam. And it's all about starting to complement the current pieces we have. Forget about Zion. Obi Toppin is our guy. He's box office. Let's just continue to see what he can be. And to your point, Dyson Daniels has all the tools that you need to defend 3 positions on the perimeter. Elite defensive prospect, great playmaking and court vision, unselfish, high character as well. Exactly what the Knicks like. One thing I feel that I question whether the Knicks will like about Dyson is that he's a quiet guy. He's softly spoken. I don't know if the Knicks are gonna kind of go for a guy like that. I have doubts. I feel like they also love an aggressive scorer. Dyson Daniels isn't quite aggressive getting to the cup. That could be another knock. But I do think that the Knicks will love all of these other qualities as well. That's just my thoughts on whether or not I could see the Knicks falling in love with Daniels or not. I would love him on the Knicks, but I find that they love the kind of microwave scoring kind of guys as well. And Drew says, in all honesty, a Randall trade would not benefit the T-Wolves because they play fast as well. He needs to go to a team with slow offense like Detroit or Dallas, fam. Get up and down in the half court with Luka as well. Just take the burden off of Luka. And even just as a basketball fan, not just as a Knicks fan, I would love to see Randall on Dallas because Luka out there is bleeding each and every night and taking all the hits, and he got no one. A Julius Randle could take all the hits for Luka, and could be that secondary scorer to let Luka take nights off. Luka's going to be exhausted by the time he's 24 years of age. Basically, if Dallas don't do something soon, Luka Doncic will be the next hot name looking for a move. Like, make no mistake, Dallas is on the clock. And not a lot of people are talking about this because, yes, they're in the second round of the playoffs, but that don't mean nothing, right? We all know Luka Doncic whines every single call. If he's the dude not getting help, he's going to start letting the GM know about it. Best believe that, right? You're talking about Jalen Brunson and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Spencer Dinwiddie as his next top dogs, as his Robins. Like that's not going to fly in the West. Like, just give them Julius Randle and let it be done with. And the East will be very tough next year. We need to build this team nice and slow. Let's do it right, not fast. Yep, absolutely right. Marathon mindset as well. Just keep recycling these young players until some of them pop, until some of them become an all-star, and then we're sexy and we're attractive, just like Brooklyn were, when they had D'Lo, Karis LeVert, Joe Harris, Kenny Atkinson up in there. And honestly, I like Tari. I just think unless if he's drafted to be a backup to Cam or RJ, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. No, I could understand your point, Drew. Definitely. I just think, you've got to take the talent that's the best available there, and then you figure the rest out. I think the fact that Tari can play behind Obi, if we trade Randall, it'd be perfect. Tari doesn't have to be a starting player in his first year. He could play 18 to 23 minutes off the bench, each and every night, and slowly develop behind Obi, and then he could play minutes even next to Obi at the 4 if Obi plays at the 5 as well. He played some 5 for LSU. Yep. And also, you bring up the point about Cam Reddish. Only God knows what the Knicks' plans are for Cam Reddish. That's going to be one of the most talked about things this offseason and this season. If Cam isn't traded on draft night or isn't moved in free agency in a blockbuster deal, I'm still suspect about Cam Reddish's future in New York Knicks, just because I love Cam, but I just think they're going to go big game hunting, and he's going to be one of the top trade pawns that the Knicks could offer. The LA Lakers want Cam Reddish as well. And Tarek says, I like Soken better than Tari Eason. Soken is similar, but with a better jump shot as well. I appreciate you for that. Soken's high on my list as well. In terms of a potential fit in the teens, early teens, mid-teens, and if it's a trade down prospect, or if his stock rises even. But he is an animal in terms of a defensive demon. He can block the whole court in many ways and shut off passing lanes like nobody's business. Just incredible size. What scares me about Soken is the free throw shooting at this point in time. I think he's currently shooting 50-something%. And E. Gibson up in here, salute, fam. What's good? New York Knicks has 9 players right now, 24 or younger, and a wealth of picks. We need to choose a direction, plus some of these vet contracts expire after the 2023 season. I appreciate you for that. Exactly. The New York Knicks do need to consolidate, and they need to pick that direction. And I think that's the exciting thing of what we've been saying tonight. On draft night, we're going to have a better idea. Free agency, we're going to have a better idea of where the stars are lying. Absolutely. And Tarek says, no aggression reminds me of a former French point guard. Oh. Yep. Except, I think Dyson Daniels is a lot more ready-made for the league right now, a lot more ready to contribute, with that said. But yeah, I think the Knicks would have concerns over his aggression as well, and he needs a better handle, does Dyson Daniels. Well, he dribbles the ball quite high. He needs to get lower with his dribble. They're the two biggest things I would work on if I was Dyson. And Drew says, CT, you notice how all these generational talents mostly are hoopers with above average height for their position now. Cade, LaMelo, Giddey. Surely in a couple of years, you got KD, Giannis, and others as well. Yep, absolutely. They don't teach size. That's my catchphrase, right? You can't teach size. And basketball, we're going to see the next trend. Steph Curry created a trend, with the deep shooting, small guard that can shoot. Now we're definitely seeing another trend with teams loving tall ball handlers as well. But you know what? It doesn't always need to be your point guard. You could have another secondary ball handler at the 2 or 3 that can take reps off of the point guard and rest them as well. That's why Dyson Daniels is an intriguing prospect, right? At any point in time, he can take over the ball handling duties at the 2 spot and be just as good of a playmaker as a normal point guard is, except playing the 2 guard. So Dyson Daniels, is back to his biggest swing skill could be his shooting as well. If he could play the role of a true shooting guard and slot in at the 2 spot, but like I said, take ball handling duties off the point guard, then the sky's the limit for him. And Nazareth, how do you feel about the Knicks? If the Knicks were to package Randall and Burks for Rudy Gobert, followed by a sign and trade of Mitchell Robinson for Jalen Brunson? A good question, Nazareth. Appreciate the thought put into that one. To me personally, I'd stay clear of Rudy Gobert. Whilst I'd achieve the goal of getting out of Randall and Burks, I think Rudy Gobert's contract and just the timeline of where we're at. I respect Rudy and the talent and the player he is. I know what he can do on the court. I just think if we're to move away from Randall and Burks, it's to reset the clock further back for me, reset it back. And Rudy Gobert, I'm not too keen on his trade value moving forward as well. If the Knicks needed to trade him again as well, but good question. But yeah, for me personally, I'd stay clear of Rudy Gobert. And Tarek says Soken is 6'9", Eason 6'8". Yep, Soken, a bit bigger, fam. Definitely the Knicks need the size in this draft. Yep. And yeah, Soken, his fit could be crazy. He could play small ball 2, 3, 4, 5, even in some stretches as well. The way he can handle the rock, and the Knicks need the size. Remember when Kendall Brown was supposed to be a lottery pick? That was like 6 months ago. Things can change in a hot minute, like Drew says. Absolutely, things can change in the blink of an eye, and we're seeing it now with dudes rising. One of the things that people will look for, fam, as well, is a ceiling, and also being a freshman or a sophomore or a senior or what. We got Malachi Branham, right, a freshman, right? He's shooting up the board because of his age. He's got really growth potential. There's Malachi Branham as well. So I feel like a lot of teams are going to be looking like, hey man, this guy shot up towards the end of the season. He's only a freshman. When we could be really onto something with Malachi Branham as well, and me too. In terms of the guys where we sit currently, if we stay pat, we got Sokem, Eason, Malachi Branham, Dyson Daniels as well. I'll be wrapped with any of those guys as well with where we're at. If we can pick up another asset and move down, even better. And also, early in the second round, if we can pick up another quality point guard with some potential, then that'd be a nice value pick as well. And Soken reminds me of a less fluid and coordinated Cam. Yeah, he's certainly trying to fit into his body, fam. I feel like he's definitely going to try to fit into his body, and he's still growing as well. So yeah, some of these dudes do look pretty awkward. Mina, glad that you have Hardy higher on your board than consensus. I think he's being pretty slept on despite his early struggles. Yeah, in the G. Yeah, appreciate you for that as well. I just couldn't ignore that. I feel like he's definitely a guy that's going to rise and is going to be a stud in the league. Right, I just see it, and that just falls into my philosophy of players that succeed in the league. And I always put shot creation as one of the highest skills as well. That's why some people might think, oh, how do you have Shaden Sharp so high? Or how do you have Jaden Hardy so high and things like that? It's always in the eye of the beholder. But for me, I value shot creation in prospects a lot. When the shot clock's running down, or when you're heavily D'd up on as well, a player that can get his own bucket and get his own shot, is a quality that only a certain percentage of NBA players have. The ability to get separation as well. And I feel like Jaden Hardy's going to find himself a nice home, and he's going to be an 18 to 23 point per game scorer, for most of his career. And a JJ, if we could use better perimeter D in the starting lineup at the wing, with Fournier and RJ were terrible this year. Yep. Yeah, I feel like you hit the nail there. One of their aims has got to be to get RJ some more help on the wing. Absolutely. Obviously they've got Cam Reddish to think about. They've got Cam in their plans, and that's definitely going to be the big story. But I feel like Cam is not either going to be the starting point small forward, or he's not going to play a whole heap of minutes. And he's not going to play 30-something minutes with Thibs here. So we need a better defensive wing. And is Quentin Grimes that guy? Is Quentin Grimes? I'm high on Quentin Grimes, absolutely. And Quentin Grimes could be a guy that could even be a trade pawn to get us much higher as well. Talk about players people wanting to get up higher in the draft. Well, it's going to take some assets to get up higher, and a guy like Quentin Grimes would have great stock around the NBA. Like, not saying I'll be willing to part with Quentin Grimes, but the facts are facts. It's going to take a quality prospect in order to get up higher in this draft. Like E says, Gobert has a huge contract, 5 years, $205 million, that I wouldn't want to take that on. Yep, absolutely. I agree completely with that. It's about the contract and just our timeline and fit. And Tarek, with the professional scouting report on Sokan, alpha dog aggression, got handles, can shoot and play D tall, but CTU said he can't shoot free throws as well. Yeah, he can't shoot free throws at the moment. Yeah, but he's definitely got all of those other tools as well. Yeah, he's got tools. He can affect the games in many, many ways. Yep, would not be mad with him on the New York Knicks. But yeah, the free throw thing I just heard the other day with him. But yeah, if his shot's not broken, it can certainly be something that gets better, as he plays and he continues to work on. Now, Drew says, I remember that one point Patrick was like a top 10 player in this high school draft. Do not let Brooklyn draft him, just like Cam Thomas. Yep, that's another situation where players, if hit a hurdle, they were very, very highly touted, just like Quentin Grimes was as well. They've still got a great future ahead of them as well. Sometimes they just don't grow at the same level as other teams, other players, prospects as well. Canal, salute. What's good? What's good? What's good, my friend? Looks like I won't be happy unless we trade up. Yep. Well, Canal, what do you think? And you like Dyson Daniels? I feel like you like Dyson Daniels, Canal. Who else do you like in terms of the trade up? But yeah, like I said, if the Knicks trade up, we got to part with something. Either Deuce McBride, Quentin Grimes, a future pick. We ain't getting from 11 to 6 or 7. With nothing, right? This is a weaker in terms of star draft. So teams aren't just going to want to get out of that slot for unless for a reason. And to me, the best pick outside the lottery, if the Knicks can trade down, is Ochai Agbaji. The dude's a great fit, off-ball cutter, great shooter as well. Yep. On his team at great shooter and was a leading scorer on his team at Kansas. I don't think Agbaji was on Villanova. I think he was Kansas. But to your point, he could cut really well and he could shoot around the curl. Off-ball movement for Agbaji is crazy. He never stops moving, which is what I love as well. Cully, salute. What's good, brother? What's good? Chopping up the draft and the many prospects and the moves that the Knicks could go different directions up in here as well. And this is going to be another chance to evaluate Leon Rose, this front office, right? Do they get this thing right? Right, this draft is going to play a huge key into what direction the Knicks go, for the future as well. We got so many things to do in free agency as well, and like we've talked about tonight, to me it makes more sense having free agency first, and then you have the draft, right? It's tough. It's tough to ask these teams to make future decisions based on potential free agent outcomes. And Canal says Baldwin looks like Knox to me. I like Daniels and I like Sharp. So yeah, that makes two of us. Absolutely, that makes two of us. Now Dyson, out of any dude above 11 that I've got, I feel like the most likely dude to slip and be there available for us is Dyson Daniels. Maybe AJ Griffin with the injury concerns, like Elle said tonight. But no other dude I would be shocked if any other dude is available at 11. So out of my big board 1.0, I feel like Dyson Daniels is probably the most likely guy to be there at 11 outside of anybody else. So, and Tari Eason could even be gone higher than that as well. And Tarek wants Ivy, Sharp, or Benny Mathurin as well. Yep, the creme de la creme, in my opinion, of this draft as well, in terms of what the Knicks need. Absolutely. Well, I would love me some Jabari Smith or Paolo as well. But I love Sharp, Ivy, and Mathurin as well. I like Johnny Davis game too. But I love all these dudes on the Knicks. Agbaji or Keegan Murray is my pick, or Mark Williams if Mitch walks. Yeah, you're the first one to raise that point tonight, D. We've been chopping this thing up for 1 hour and a half, and we haven't yet spoken on if Mitch walks. And that's the thing about having free agency after the draft. The New York Knicks do need to go into this draft with an idea as to what Mitch is going to do. Sit him down, sit his agent down, just figure it out. Maybe they should know if they offer him a contract and his agent sort of says, we'll get back to you on that kind of thing. We'll see. And Cully, Shade, and Sharp might go that early. Yeah, that's just me being fairly optimistic, and fairly out there. Cully as well. But I could see Sharp slipping down to 6 or 7. And this ain't on team needs either. This is just big board stuff. But I think Shade and Sharp is definitely going to be a dude that wows some people when he works out. He's wowed the Draft Express dudes and everything. Those dudes. Jonathan Gavoni did say he looked like a potential number 1 pick. In just 1v1 scrimmage. And Agbaji is nice as well. I love his movement. He's shooting off the bounce and the curl as well. We need a guy that constantly moves. Remember, we were trying to get Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. We were talking about those guys. Well, Agbaji is another dude like that just constantly moves and never stays still. And it's perfect for our offense. Talk about when everyone gets stagnant. When dudes are just standing around, just looking and ball watching. A guy like Agbaji moving around with Obi cutting as well, that'd be lightning. And a Baldwin to me is more of a 6'10" Duncan Rob, but that's why he fell through. Yep. It would be a nice pick for Agbaji, and also a potential trade down scenario, fam, like we've been saying tonight. You see the teams in bold are teams with either multiple picks in the first round, or they're teams with the likeliness that they might want to move that pick or move up as well. So Ochai Agbaji, I'm probably sleeping on him a little bit more. I could probably move him up into the 13-14 spot, maybe ahead of one of the centers as well. The centers to me are the fascinating thing. Jalen Duren could go as high as 8, in my opinion, in some of the boards I've seen. But also, Jalen Duren or Mark Williams could also slide to the mid-teens or even later as well. So give us your thoughts on what you guys think about the centers, because for me, that's one of the greatest unknowns for those two guys. And that's going to be workout driven, I feel like. It's going to be team fit, and workout driven as to how high the centers can go. And Lynn, salute. What's good? It's Ivy for me. Yeah, we've seen Ja Morant, and we've seen some penetrating guards and the impact they're having as well. Jaden Ivey, I think the Knicks are definitely going to try. That's going to be their trade up target in terms of fitting him next to IQ maybe, and just that box office nature of getting up and down the floor, lobs to Obi, highlight reel dunks, all of that good stuff. And Kanal Sissoko is really growing on me though. Yeah, I can put myself in that category too, fam, as well. He's growing on me more as well as we continue to chop more footage up as well. We need a dog like that can do the gritty work, can do the dirty work on defense, can be disruptive as well. That just command the D, as well, and also could play a big part in what Tom Thibodeau wants to do, with his D. We all know that. And yes, we all have eyes on Leon Rose this summer in terms of what he can do. And some comparisons for Sohan is Giannis as well. That's lofty. That's lofty. But yeah, in terms of his development, the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Sohan, L says Sohan shot 30% from 3 and the 58 from the free throw line. He lacks strength. Tari Eason is stronger and a better shooter, and he's elite defensively. His blocks and steals rate is off the charts as well. I think, both have got some flaws in their game, but I've got them so close, it's hard to separate. It's hard to separate the two for me at the moment. And E says, I could see New York eyeing Williams as well if Mitch decides to leave. He has a huge wingspan at 7'7". Yeah, incredible wingspan. So does Jalen Duren, has a 7'3" or 7'4" wingspan as well. So facts, right? And Fritz, what's good, my friend? Salute, what's good? And Brick says, Agbaji is going to be better than RJ. He even might be already. So Bricks Nation, very, very high on Agbaji. And tell me, Bricks, where would you have Agbaji on your board? Which number? As high? How high could you see Agbaji going as well? I'm fascinated. And I think I'll go with the pro scouts on Sohan as well from Tarek. And Drew says this team shouldn't shoot for potential picks. They should shoot for safe picks. We have our guys with potential, Obi being one of them, and that's why I like drafting Agbaji. And that's with the mold that we talked about and what L pointed out as well. The New York Knicks do have a certain mold. They love more mature guys. I feel like they've been through the prospect ringer with Frank, with Knox, with that situations out there as well. We have some guys at the moment that need some complementary pieces. Yeah, as well. Yeah, Cully says true. Sharp just might go to 5 and 6. Yeah, absolutely. I could see that too, fam. I think Sharp's going to shut things down once he gets that promise. It's just which team, how high is the team that gives him the promise first and foremost. Once he works out with a couple teams, I think then it's going to be a wrap for Shaden Sharp and his agent. No combine, none of that. Just some couple private workouts. His agent will call Houston, Orlando, Detroit, OKC, Indy, Portland, and find out of those teams. Okay, we'll work out with some of you, and then some of them say, "Hey, no, all right, you've got our promise," and then it's a wrap. And also, is he willing to do 1v1 scrimmage? Is he willing to do a 3v3 kind of workout as well? That's going to be real interesting. If I'm his agent and I really, really believe in his talent, I'm like, what the hell? Go head to head with these kind of guys. Go head to head with other dudes in the top 10 in the gym, and put them to shame. And then that might get his stock even higher. And a D says, I think Mitch is fed up with the Knicks. He might. He's out. He's not about the money at this point for him as well. I'm of the same mindset. man. I wouldn't be surprised if Mitch leaves, but I wouldn't be mad if he stayed as well. If the Knicks gave him his money, I can be behind that. But I think Mitch is fed up with the situation, right? Like, I agree with you. Yeah, and Drew, picks 1 to 7 in the draft look like they're going to be key pieces to a team. After that, the class will fall off a bit as well. It's in the eye of the beholder as well, like I said, my friend. But I feel like these players are going to be in the league for a long time. I feel like there's a lot of contributors in the late first round, early second round. It's about who finds the right home, who finds the best role for them at that point in time, who can thrive. And yeah, they're going to be overhyped dudes for sure. There's absolutely overhyped dudes that that are going to slip. There's going to be, we saw Sharif Cooper. He was overhyped a bit. He fell to 48 behind Trae Young. He was stuck, and Obi Toppin's been stuck as well. And Tarek says, I like Agbaji, but we got RJ. Yeah, I like Agbaji too. I just feel like if we're making that pick, go for something a bit different in terms of size of the player. Yeah, Ahsokan, Eason, and or Usman Jiang. Those kind of guys can play the 3 and the 4 as well. Whereas Agbaji is like a straight 2 guard as well. Like you said, Agbaji is like a straight 2 guard. And Mino, I'm not even kidding. Agbaji is a solid 3-level scorer right now. RJ isn't. Yeah, Agbaji can definitely score. We know RJ's strength, isn't his efficiency right now, but he got some other, other parts of his game that I'm high on. And Tarek says Ivy pops off the screen when you watch him in games like Morant did. Not saying they are the same, and I'm not comparing. Yeah, he's got some pops in his athleticism as well. Guys that can get up and down. We know Tom Thibodeau coached an MVP D Rose. Right, I'm just putting that out there as well. Tom Thibodeau could be head over heels with Jaden Ivey as well, right? He coached a dude that could get up and down like D Rose, like a 21-year-old D Rose could as well. So he might love a prospect of that 6'4" as well that could play next to Quick and RJ and get up and down quicker. Yep, Brick's very high on Agbaji. Let's get it. Tarek says, remember when Giannis came out, no one knew he would be the player he is today. Remember when he got picked? And that's why some scouts are comparing Sohan from that standpoint as well. Yeah, absolutely. Like, these are prospects, and some dudes believe in the prospects more than others, and some of them have a more inside track, a more inside look as well into their potential as well. Yeah, see, first and foremost, as a scout, you've got to be open-minded as well about any prospect you're looking at as well. And many scouts have hated a prospect that's come out and become a superstar, and so many scouts have been high on a dude and that never became anything as well. So it's up to the prospect at the end of the day too. When they make the league, it's basically like they're on their own, and they need to put in the work as well. Nazareth, salute. I saw an interview with Dyson Daniels on Australian TV, and he comes across as very mature, well-spoken, and serious about basketball for his age. Very reminiscent of Derek Jeter. Will handle New York. I appreciate that, Nazareth. Yep, that's exactly one of the qualities Dyson Daniels possesses. Yep, I can confirm that as well. He's from a very, very, very solid family, a very, very solid upbringing. His father was a baller as well. So for those that don't know, Dyson Daniels' father was a basketballer as well. I'm not sure to exactly how high he reached. I think he reached state level or something like that. But yeah, he's a solid kid, solid upbringing as well. El Tograsso, who is the pro scout that says Sohan can shoot threes and hit free throws. I didn't give my opinion on Sohan's threes and free throw numbers. Numbers don't lie. So yeah, El Tograsso talking about Sohan's shooting. And Tarek says teams are getting taller. We can't afford to go shorter. Yep, I agree with that. I tend to agree with it. I don't think Daniels is good enough. He's got some qualities that look redeemable, but I don't think he's an average athlete for an NBA player. On top of that, his coordination is suspect at best. So Drew not as high on Dyson Daniels as well. like I said earlier, it's in tonight's show. Dyson Daniels' key strengths that I would want him to work on right now are his handles. If he wants that playmaking, ball handling to be a bigger part of his game. I'd love to see him get a bit lower with his handle, get a tighter handle, which is something that's very easily able to be worked on as well. And of course, the shooting. If Dyson Daniels can become an efficient shooter to where he can play the 2 spot regularly, then that gives you extra value as a playmaking 2 guard that can handle the rock and ball handling duties off the main point guard position as well. So I think he'd fit nicely next to Quickly as well. That's an ideal fit because their strengths and weaknesses cover each other up. You got Quickly that can take it on and score it and light it up, and you got Dyson Daniels that can play the unselfish playmaker role from a 6'8" guard perspective, and find Obi Toppin, know when it's his shot and know when it's not his shot as well. Drew says difference between guys like RJ and Daniels is that RJ is a strong dude, so even if he's uncoordinated, it works because he's 225 at 6'6". Daniels is almost rail thin as well. I think Daniels is thin, but he's certainly not rail thin in my opinion. I think he's got a wider frame as well. Yeah, he's got a wider frame, and I feel like he can certainly fill that out as we get closer to the draft as well. And Bricks Nation, I actually like Ben Mathurin more than Agbaji, but I have both of them in the top 7. So, yep, top 7 for Agbaji and Ben Mathurin. Yep. So if you guys have them in the top 7, who falls out, fam? Keegan Murray. I mean, Keegan Murray's a lock for top 5 on most people's draft. Johnny Davis is a lock on most people's top 7, top 8 as well. So this draft ain't as weak as some people think it is. Yeah, in my opinion, we're talking about dudes in the teens, potential in the teens at the moment, and how much we like them. I can't say that every single year. I feel like, there is years past where guys are overhyped, which makes the draft sound better than what it is. This draft, it's sort of, under-promised as well. So that might be better. A lot of these prospects might be able to surprise, with less hype as well. And I'm talking about some international dudes. Jovic, we haven't talked about him enough. At the 21 spot, could be nice value as a scoring 6'9", 6'10" scoring forward. And Usman Dieng, who played in Australia as well, Next Stars program as well. His stock is rising incredibly, just like Sohan's is. And you could take this to the bank, but I would not be surprised if Usman Dieng is drafted higher than Sohan as well. So he's getting a heap of buzz as well. He finished he played pro ball and he finished the pro season in Australia very, very well. Did Usman Dieng as well. So his stock is rising. He could even be drafted higher than Agbaji as well. So Marjon Beauchamp is a guy that can improve his stock in the combine as well, I feel like. So it's going to be interesting. I feel like these centers are holding a lot of the movement up too. Just how high do these centers go is like what I said. But yeah, like what Bricks is saying, I love Ben Mathurin as well. I think he's a lock for top 7 for Ben Mathurin. I think he's going to get a couple of workouts and then it's going to be a wrap as well. And Tarek says, actually, I was following the pro scouts. I study the games, watch college more than the NBA. And one of the scouts is Seth Greenberg as well. So yeah, nothing wrong with differing opinions, fam. We can chop this up, and it's all subjective. We all like different prospects. And going back to the theme of tonight's show, that's what I love this point of year. Where we could put our receipts on the table, and then we could cash our receipts later. When these prospects hit the pro game, and it feels good to know that the prospects we liked, are doing well as well. That's good. That's good to know too. But just know this too: even the best of scouts have been wrong, and also other dudes that have, not gone on record and said certain things as well. Those prospects have also surprised as well. So yeah, for every expert, there's an expert that was wrong as well. I mean, how many NBA teams whiffed on Desmond Bain? The list goes on and on and on. And some overhyped lottery talent as well. The one thing I say is you can't teach size as well. You can't teach work ethic, motor, size. Those are the things that the player is really born with, in my opinion. Can they play at this point in their career, if they've been playing basketball for 10 years, can they play both sides of the floor as well? Can they play both sides of the floor already? Are they, in a situation where they care to play both sides of the ball, or are they just dudes that light you up and that's it? And then they just don't care anymore, basically. So yeah, look forward to chopping this up a lot more, in terms of after the lottery. I'll do a big board 2.0, and I'll take into account some more team needs as well. But yeah, as a whole, the theme of this show, I just wanted to show that the three tiers mainly of the prospects that I've got divided into three tiers there that you see in the three colors, and just the scenarios of what would be available on draft night to the New York Knicks. They could go in the three different ways, if they wanted to really to do some stuff and really get up into the top four, or they really wanted to stay pat and they like some of the guys in the orange, or they really, really get some offers that they can't refuse, too good to refuse if they fall themselves into the later lottery / later in the first round. Maybe they can consolidate with more picks in the future. They could get a couple of prospects that they might like more than just one prospect as well. And big task salute. When will the next live be? That'll be next week. Big task. Yep, we'll hit you with more lives coming up. Also, I'm talking to some draft other dudes with draft channels and draft scouts as well. So I hope to get some more people on to chop this up with me. Some dudes with some other perspective as well. And just hear their thoughts as well, because this is all just our opinions as well. This is just our thoughts as well. Want to hear more advice from scouts and things like that. But I don't watch the college game a whole lot. I really start focusing around March Madness, and like I said, I tier these players based on the qualities that I value more than some other qualities, basically, and also what I'm hearing and things like that as well. So yeah, I just mainly wanted to show you guys exactly what the New York Knicks can do, on draft night, in terms of selections and moves and things like that. Another thing I wanted to touch on was obviously the news about Tyus Jones. I spoke about that before. I think Tyus Jones is earning himself a nice deal. He's setting records with assist to turnover ratio of 7-1, which is crazy. He's a steady hand and, things like that. But I feel like, the New York Knicks don't need Tyus Jones. I think Tom Thibodeau, if I had to guess where the leak may have come from in terms of one, personnel from the Knicks said that they may have interest in Tyus Jones, I feel like that's come from Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau knows Tyus Jones well, and then he's basically been there for his career. And yeah, with Tyus Jones, it'd be a redundancy, I feel. Why not just develop the players we've got right now? Tyus Jones, if it's a mid-level, that's not an overpay, but I just don't feel the need for Tyus Jones. And also, with that said, I want to talk about, you guys give me your thoughts on Tyus Jones. We've chopped up the draft enough. And with the other thing about Tyus Jones is, what kind of role would he play, and what would it mean for IQ, in the current guys we have. And then also the forgotten man, one Rokas Jokubaitis as well. So he's balling out still in Europe. His season's still going. The season is super long. In Europe, and they've clinched the top seed as well. He scored overnight. He scored 8 points and 8 assists in 17 minutes as well. So Rokas Jokubaitis getting quality burn in Europe. He's doing his thing out there. And if anything, he's only going to come. If he does come, he's going to come with more experience, which is great. I hope he plays Summer League. You guys give me your thoughts, but I think there's a spot for Rokas on Summer League, absolutely, next to Deuce McBride. And I feel like with those two, it'd be nice to see those two, handle the point duties as well. Now, the situation with Europe and the prospects are they need to be bought out, and an NBA team can only contribute so much basically to that buyout. The player had to fund their own buyout a lot. I think they have to pay at least like 70% of it as well. So the contract the Knicks offer Rokas has to be worth it. Like the issue we saw with Luka Vildoza, the New York Knicks had to offer Luka Vildoza at least a $3 million deal so that it was worth it to come all the way to the States. So, yeah, with that said, the reason there's some apprehension is Rokas going to come? Is he not? Contribute that all to the buyout situation, basically. And also, he might be looking at, one more year in Europe. Would that be worth his time, developing in Europe again versus, what kind of role would Rokas have on the Knicks next season? He sees the writing on the wall. What's going on with the Knicks this season, with Deuce, with Quickly, and all of that, trying to get minutes as well. So he's seriously got to think about his future and his career. But is he NBA ready? Yep, I feel like he is. I feel like he could definitely play a backup point guard role. Could Rokas as well. But the messy thing is, again, the contract situation, right? He has multiple years on a Barcelona deal, and he's not going to want to break that unless it's worth his time, worth his career to be, somebody who takes that gamble. We saw Luka Vildoza take that gamble with the Knicks. It didn't work out as well. So I feel like that is a situation that bears watching. Would I be mad? I wouldn't be mad if Rokas stays another year. I think I'm leaning towards that makes more sense for everybody, just because we don't immediately have that role for him right now. I feel like with Tom Thibodeau here, would I love Rokas here? Absolutely. I'd love to give him minutes and see what he can do. I enjoy watching some of his games in the ACB. But I feel like, that is a situation where it's a huge gamble, and he's getting regular minutes on a championship level team in Europe. So it's a big decision for him, and I understand why he's a bit apprehensive about that. And Tarek says that's one big gamble after Vildoza to go after Rokas. Yeah, he balling out for some of the highlights I've seen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The contract thing's messy with that situation as well. The fact is they've got to offer him at least 2-3 mil so that he can fund the buyout, basically, because an NBA team can only play $700,000 towards a buyout, and the buyouts are usually about 2 mil. So if you think about it, he's going to have to pay 1.5, 1.3 mil or something like that as part of his buyout. And then he's probably going to need to earn enough more, to support himself in New York, support his family and all of that. But just strictly basketball, I think it won't hurt to have him in Europe one more year, develop even more, 22 years old, 23 years old. Then if he looks the real goods, we bring him over. We bring him over after a year or two if he looks like the real goods. Otherwise, we just let him continue to cook in Europe, and we use him as part of a big trade package, if another team wants another asset kind of thing, which is what I'm thinking might happen as well. But in terms of the point guards in this draft, the point guards, it's not a deep draft. It's not a deep draft for point guards. Everybody knows that right now. And Jaden Ivey ain't the true floor general either. So he'd be a nice combo guard next to Quickly and next to D Rose. But in terms of the truest point guards, you got Tai Tai later in the first round. John Montero as well is a point guard with great playmaking ability, but more of a scoring mindset as well. And also you got Kennedy Chandler. Don't want to leave him out. He could still boost his stock in the combine as well. Yep, I feel like Kennedy Chandler is definitely gonna be able to make some progress, in the league. And Tarek says that why isn't Kofi Cockburn on the draft list? When he hits the NBA, there will be blood on and egg on many faces. Yep. I just don't have him in the first round, Tarek, as well. I feel like, this is my 1.0 big board as well. But as we get closer to the draft as well, I'll be putting out another version 2 and things like that. But I like Kofi Cockburn, earlier in the second round as well. And H Money, salute. What's good? Rokas isn't balling. He's a backup point guard over there. as well. Look, it's a different kind of game over there. First and foremost, people look at the stats of a player in Europe. The games are more like FIBA. It's passing the ball around. The quarters are only 10 minutes as well. There ain't 12-minute quarters in Europe. They're 10-minute quarters as well. So the starting point guard only plays like 22 minutes, and the backup point guard only plays about 18, 17 minutes as well. So whilst, yeah, you're correct, it might look like the person's a backup as well, but you got to remember this guy is a 21-year-old, and he's a rookie, basically. He's basically a rookie over there handling the rock, and his team is in the second best league in the world, and it's a championship team. They won the championship as well. So, he's playing well, basically. Maybe not balling out to that extent, but he's playing well. In the EuroLeague, young players don't get burned over there yet. Absolutely, Tarek. Like I said, they're more team-oriented over there. It's not like the NBA where one star takes over. The coaches don't allow that over there, right? The coaches actually have power over there. If a coach doesn't like a player acting up, he can tell that player to get out of the arena, and then they don't play anymore, basically. The team cuts that player as well. So yeah, the coaches and the teams over there, they don't put up with any BS as well. So yeah, the players tend to have to get in line as well. But yeah, H Money putting his thoughts out there. Rokas a career backup as well. One of the other reasons why I said let him stay over there and continue to develop as well. And so far, Deuce McBride's a backup as well. So there's nothing wrong with also being a backup. If that's their ceiling, that's their ceiling. But yeah, remember we picked these dudes up in the second round as well. So it's not a high priority for us. We're looking for that starting point as well. But just wanted to give that update on Rokas and just see, just see what he can do, basically, and see what the New York Knicks do for this starting point guard spot. Now, you guys pop in the chat. Do you want Emmanuel Quickley starting the point on opening night? And if not, who is your desired, realistic starting point guard on opening night as well? Yep, I want to see the chat popping and just see, when we're on the topic and we're looking ahead to the draft and free agency, right? This is something we're going to be able to chop up throughout the season, next season, right? Who's on record? Who is high on Quickley? Who wants to see someone else in a realistic sense as well? Throw it out there. Let me know. Throw it out there and let me know. I've been on record. I wouldn't be mad if IQ starts. I think we've just got nothing to lose, basically. We're a team at rock bottom right now, and we're trying to, we're trying to see who we've got, which is a keeper, and we're trying to see, who's a guy that can be staying around in New York for the long haul, right? And whether we're a play-in team next year, a playoff team, or miss the playoffs, whatever it may be, we have that time on our side now, because I'm not worried about wins and losses next season. It's about further development. Well, Tarek says, yeah, Rokas could be career backup. No argument for me. Yep. And I have issues with Rokas's athleticism and height. Yep, they're the biggest knocks for you as well. Yep. Yep. The beautiful thing is he's playing basketball right now and he's not being paid by the Knicks. So yeah, we get a chance to just continue to see him develop, fam. And like we've been saying, we've got nothing to lose. Absolutely. And H Money, my only argument is we need a starting PG. Keep Quickley and all the young guys and draft Dyson Daniels. Yep. Yeah, appreciate that. Yep. On the same train, we could start IQ and we just don't have anything to lose, right? He's been in the league 2 years at least. We know he's kind of ready. If he's not ready, he's almost ready. You could argue whichever side of the fence you sit on. I think in a development year, if wins and losses aren't your number one priority, why not just start the season with him? He has familiarity with the team, with the coach. He has familiarity with Obi and the other players as well. So let's just give IQ that chance. I feel like, unless a bigger realistic thing becomes available. And I also like his fit next to Dyson Daniels, like H Money's been saying. Dyson can hide his weaknesses, and Quickley can hide Dyson's weaknesses as well. in terms of the counteractiveness of passiveness and shooting ability as well. And we need to trade up for Sharp. Yep, Tarek's on the money there as well. I feel like the Kentucky connections, Tarek, this has to be the year that the New York Knicks, this has to be the year that the New York Knicks' connections at least help them out, with intel, with workouts, or whatever it is, man, whatever it's going to take. And I could see Sharp as high as 3, like I got probably a bit more realistic around 5, 6, 7, in terms of if anything goes according to plan with the workouts and all that good stuff. Yeah, Shaedon Sharp will find himself around that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 range as well. He could really, really impress, and he has impressed in some 1v1 scrimmage as well in terms of his shot creation, his size, his penetration, and his maturity as well. He's been spoken of to be very mature for his age, and maybe able to come in New York and make an immediate impact and take on take on the pressure of New York and that mantle up in the air as well. And I want explosive alpha dogs with height and dribble as well. Yep, the league's getting bigger. The league's getting bigger as well. Yep, explosion fits well with Obi Toppin. Same with Jaden Ivey, like you've been saying. Jaden Ivey as well in terms of the scoring guard. If we got Jaden Ivey, we'll just touch on this. If we got into the top 4 and we're able to get Jaden Ivey, then there's no need for Donovan Mitchell. I think, I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but for me, it'd be that's our guy, Jaden Ivey. We build around that, right? There's no point gutting the whole roster for Donovan Mitchell if we get a Jaden Ivey. I'm not trying to say Jaden Ivey's better than Mitchell right now. No, I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say that, hey, we've been lucked upon. We've gotten that guy. We've finally got Lady Luck smile on us, and now's the time to just keep that rock with what we got and develop in house and grow with them. Yep. Tarek says Ivy, my guy. Yep, salute. Yeah, facts, right. I think Ivy's going to go top 4. Regardless. I think top 4 or 5 probably at the latest with Jaden Ivey. Yeah, Ivy, not Sirkin. Yeah, Ivy is your guy. Yeah, absolutely right. If we do get into the top 4, I could see it being Ivy. Maybe let's say if we got to the number 1 pick, I could see them trading down to 2 or 3 to get Ivy and not take Banchero or Smith as well. Mino says agreed. If we land Ivy or Sharp, I don't think we need to target a star via the trade. Yep, a star guard via the trade. Yep, you'd be falling into that trap again, right? And Utah are gonna, with Danny Ainge there, and they're gonna play into the weaknesses of the New York Knicks, right? Oh, Donovan Mitchell's your guy. He's from New York, right? We want this, this, and this, and this, and this. Like, no. We've seen that movie play out so many times. We've seen that movie over and over and over as well, right? We've finally got flexibility in assets. There's no need to gut that. And I'm not saying, Mitchell wouldn't be a huge upgrade, because he would. But again, we're not on that timeline. What is Donovan Mitchell going to do here in this stacked East with RJ and Randall or whoever, right? If we had Donovan Mitchell with 2 other guys, then okay, fair enough. But again, we're trying to microwave the thing when we're not quite ready yet. We're not ready to eat, right? The table ain't set yet, right? You can't eat with the table ain't set. So we need to get that right first. We need to continue to develop some of these younger players, become more attractive. Then the vets will come. Then it's time to make the all-in move, right? It's like pulling the cart before the horse. The horse has to run first, then the cart as well. So the New York Knicks continue to fall in that trap. And that's another big reason why this draft night is going to be so telling, bringing it back to the draft about what this front office is all about. To me, they're gonna show themselves their true colors. Everyone out there, there's going to be no more hiding. Leon Rose may not speak, but his actions are going to speak for them, for their front office, and who has the max input in terms of which prospects and that. So look out for the leaks and the more news and rumors to start coming out as we continue to get closer to this draft lottery in less than 2 weeks away as well. I feel like we're due. We're definitely overdue. and it's been long overdue. It's time for the New York Knicks to get up and move up. Now, having said that, we could fall back into our old ways, and the 12th pick moves up as well. Then it'd be LOL Knicks all over social media all over again. But you can't really control that. I'm glad that the Pelicans won the play-in and got us the 11th spot, rather than the 12th spot. We have a 9.4% chance of moving into the top four. It's better than many years past. I'll take it. Basically a 1 in 10 chance of moving up. And I feel like, this is that opportunity now for the New York Knicks to continue to build upon their young core. We all agree on something, is that the Knicks haven't had this kind of young core for a long time, right? We can acknowledge and rock with what we got in terms of, the young core, right? So why derail that? The New York Knicks have kind of an identity, even if it's not their desirable identity. Our identity is 9 players under the age of 24. Basically, that's kind of an identity, if you ask me, right? We're a youthful team right now with a lot of unwanted vets at this point in time. And we did some vet sale last night. We talked about, which 5-6 vets we need to get out of as well. Some are going to be a lot easier, I feel, and some of them we need to look at some of these teams here and target them as expiring contracts. Kemba Walker, an expiring deal. Nerlens Noel, an expiring deal. Maybe we keep them at the trade deadline and we weaponize their expiring contracts as well. Derrick Rose has a team option next year as well, so he's basically going to be expiring as well. So that's good news for other teams that might want to make a D Rose trade. Julius Randle with 5 years left is going to be a lot more challenging. Evan Fournier, a lot more challenging as well. I could see Evan Fournier hanging around, which at least for another year I wouldn't be mad. We need shooting up in this piece. And Tarek says, I want to see Obi and Quick's chemistry grow and RJ development even more. Yep. You mentioned that D word, development, right? Let's just see where these players end up. I want to see all these players on their rookie deals, finish them up. No trading, no rookie on a rookie deal as well. And Manchild, what's good, fam? What's good? We're getting ready to wrap this thing up, but we'll be back again next week with some more updates, more news as well. We'll be chopping this thing up as we get closer to the lottery as well. We'll be getting some guests back on as the season, the off season. There is no off season really. It's this thing's 24/7 as well. But I really appreciate everyone out here rocking with us. The support has been insane, and we'll continue to pop out this content thick and fast. Got the streets buzzing. You already know it. And if there's any particular topic, let me know. If you like to chop up a little bit more of a certain topic, let me know. We can make it happen as well. I enjoy this and interacting with everyone, talking about this team and these prospects as well. You know it, and we'll keep this train rolling and the streets buzzing as well. And the New York Knicks have got a lot of work to do with the good, the bad, the ugly, like we chopped up. Let me pull this thing up. The first thing is our flexibility, the young core, other teams back to the drawing board and needing to make moves as well. Maybe we can help them out. Seeing some playoff watch and seeing what it takes to win in this league from these teams and showing us how it's done. The lottery's around the corner as well, and Shaden Sharp, declaring in the prospects, moving down. The bad is the Tyus Jones buzz for me, the new buzz, coming up. To me, I feel that might have been coming from Tom Thibodeau, that kind of leak, and the connection he has with Tyus Jones, trading away the farm as well for a short-sighted move. I'm worried about Worldwide Wes and his purpose with the team in terms of being that star whisperer and trying to speed this thing up again. The log jam, clearing the veterans away, the 5-6 veterans, and and clearing the salary cap space as well. But I guess as each younger player pops, it's going to become an easier decision. Like for instance, Cam Reddish, if he really looks like the small forward of the future, then that's going to make it a lot clearer in terms of Evan Fournier moving away, things like that. So yeah, another year of development is going to be critical just to see what direction this team's going. The front office getting on the same page, like we chopped up tonight, this draft. The front office needs to, get to the same understanding of which direction we're going, instead of this guy pulling in that direction, that guy trying to do his agenda, all of that good stuff. And then the uncertainty as well. And the uncertainty with Jalen Brunson, whether or not the loyalty of the front office has got the Jalen Brunson agenda on their mind. And what happens with Mitchell Robinson, our own unrestricted free agent that we've blossomed and grown. And the ugly is the too many cooks in the kitchen, again, pushing for their own agenda. A lot of work to be done. This draft night, the free agency and the veterans, and as well revamping this roster is going to be a lot of work. And Leon Rose is an inexperienced president, right? So he has a lot of work to be done, right? He needs to listen to everyone and make the right calls. Well, and the ugly for me would be trading the pick. I'd rather make this draft selection and bring in another young talent on the same timeline as some of these young players as well. And I'll just hit on some of the last comments before we wrap this thing up. H Money, we have to get Kemba, Noel, Taj, Burks off this roster ASAP as well. Hey, salute for you, that H Money as well. And I left Taj off the list yesterday as well. That's another name I could have easily put on, but Taj Gibson is an expiring deal. I feel like he's going to be on the roster maybe one more year at most. I hope. But yeah, he ain't taken up a whole lot of salary. He's probably one of the veterans I could stomach being around. But again, I'd be better if he definitely moved away. And Kemba at the number one. Kemba's going to be either bought out or he's going to be traded as an expiring deal. Some team may want an expiring contract. Nerlens Noel, it's going to be difficult. But if he's healthy, he might be able to help some teams. Absolutely. Get Alec Burks away. Yep, as well. Or get him in the right role as well. And Tyus Jones is the Duke kid. Yep, Ty Jones. Yep, currently balling out for Memphis. D Rose, Fournier, and Randall. Yep, D Rose. We got him at home, back to Chi-Town as well. We've got to get him in a situation where he's close to family, because that's his number one priority. And Manshot says Randall has to first, since his contract is 5 years, he has to agree or he has to go. Yep. Knicks 100. Knicks signed them contracts for a reason. It was no accident. Yep. Coming off the books as well. Not too hindering, but yeah, they can definitely be weaponized now. Knicks 100. The front office can use these expiring deals of Rose, Noel, Kemba, Burks' money's coming off the books as well. They could use those expiring deals if they wanted to bring in that star. Yep, absolutely, like you said. And with that said, ladies and gents, we're going to wrap this thing up for tonight. Appreciate you all. Got the streets buzzing as well. We chopped up the draft, and we're going to continue to talk about it moving forward. And this team as well, as more news comes through thick and fast. And you already know what it is. We'll shout you out on the outro. We'll salute to you. Happy Mother's Day, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And let's get it on the next one. Peace.